DRG Media Group and River 92.7 are bringing you all home Oahe Zap games all season long. Tune in on the radio, listen on the app, or watch live on drgnews.com. Now, let's send it to the broadcast booth for some Oahe Zap baseball.
It is a big day here for the Oahe Zap as we are winding down the regular season, making a push for the postseason. Hello, everybody. Justin Cowart alongside Dylan Beach and Eli Lewis, welcoming you to Hastings Stadium for this Wednesday afternoon matchup with so much on the line. When we got these schedules months ago, these two series upcoming here at Hastings Stadium over the next 6 days were circled because we knew if the Zap had done what they needed to do in June and in the beginning of July, then these series would mean something, and that's exactly where we sit. I welcome in Dylan Beach alongside me here this afternoon. Dylan, you know, this is a big series for the Oahe Zap. They had to kind of reset their focus as we look back. Zap continuing to play some of the best baseball in the ILB. They're coming off of a 4-game sweep against the Bison Baseball Club, and they really kind of had to reset their focus. First 3 games, they scored 10 or more runs, and the fourth game comes down to the wire, but they get the win, and now they look ahead to a much more difficult team and 2 more very difficult teams here in the next upcoming 6 days. 7 games in 6 days. This is a very big series for the Zap.
Yeah, you got to have a little bit of time off yesterday, the day prior, and you had some easier games before that with some travel teams, but you got some heavy hitters coming in and your main playoff push contenders against you coming to town. It's about anybody's game right now, Justin. These are going to be some crucial series if they want to make the playoffs.
And we'll dive into the playoff scenarios, all that could happen a little bit later in the broadcast. Eli Lewis turns playoff master along with his other duties of producing and directing our show. We'll get to that in about the 3rd inning. We'll lay all of it out for you so you know exactly what's at stake here. But Zap want to win every game that they come into, and they've done a lot of that lately, including that 4-game sweep that we were just talking about with the Bison. Kind of felt like they were on cruise control throughout that entire series. That is until they faced off with Trey Martin and Alex Sheets in the final game of that series, and they were able to get the 4-game sweep. But felt like it was a good win and kind of a good contest and a good test for them to reset their focus now as things kind of ramp up here with playoff time right around the corner.
Yeah, and I think it was a good wake-up call without losing a game. We saw them a couple weeks ago whenever they were rolling against the Plainsmen and the Spuds, and they came in Game 1 versus the Prospects, and they just got beat around on the baseball field for 7 innings. You didn't have to have that wake-up call in a loss this time, but I still think it was like, man, we should have won this game by a lot more. We need to wake up and really lock in.
Yeah, you know, you can find those wake-up calls in losses. Usually that's where they come from. But for the Zap, it's a pretty unique thing where they're going to be able to find that in a win because it was a Bison team that they had beat up for 3 straight days. They felt like they were going to get an easy game going against a former player of the Oahe Zap, now turned manager for the Bison. But Trey Martin pitched outstanding. They faced the GM of the Oahe Zap and Alex Sheets, another guy who used to pitch in this league. He dominated and played well, but the Zap still found a way to get the win.
Yeah, it was a weird day at the ballpark to say the least, but Zap couldn't have been too happy with that performance. And if you're going to be a playoff team, you got to be kind of angry that you're not beating the bad teams like how many runs you want. I'm sure they wanted to run rule and get out of that game, but it didn't happen. You got to lock in, and you're playing a lot better teams now. You're going to have to play some of your best baseball to win these games.
The last time we didn't see the Zap playing their best baseball was the last time they faced off with the Hastings Sodbusters right here on this field. Hastings pulled out a lot of small ball against the Zap. They laid down a lot of bunts that really got the Zap kind of off kilter, and I'm sure the Zap have worked on that up to this point, making sure that that's not something that's going to bite them again today. But, you know, as a baseball team, you only faced Hastings for 1 game. That leaves a bad taste in your mouth when an opponent comes into your territory on your turf and beats you the way that the Sodbusters did. The Zap are out looking for revenge today.
Yeah, and you haven't taken down the Sodbusters yet this year. You had a nasty series out there early in the 2nd series of the year. You got no hit by them in a game where you scored runs. I mean, you can't be getting no hit. I mean, you got to take that disrespectfully and really work towards getting some revenge in this series.
We talk about measuring stick games, and this is kind of a measuring stick game, but it's also a gut check game for the Oahe Zap because it feels like, and we'll get into this later in the broadcast, but it feels like they need to win these upcoming games because that's what playoff teams do. They win big games in big moments, and none bigger than this series against Hastings.
Yeah, and you got to show what you're made of. If you're going to be a true playoff contender, we're going to know by the end of this week. You got 7 games in 6 days. That is not a small task, and you're playing against your biggest rivals for this playoff push. you're going to have to play some of your best baseball, and you're going to have to do it a lot with these games coming up.
So we mentioned the 7 games in 6 days. How does that work? Well, tomorrow we've got a scheduled doubleheader against Hastings. We'll have Game 1 at 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Game 2 will follow about an hour after Game 1 wraps up. Once we know the official start times and kind of what the official break time is, we will let you know that immediately. You can stay tuned to drgnews.com for that information as well. But looking ahead to the upcoming series after Hastings leaves town, we have the Casper Spuds for 4 games. 2 very good opponents as we crawl through this month of July. And after this series wraps up, it's 3 against the Fremont Move. The Zap go on the road, and then they welcome Hastings back in for a final 2-game series to end the regular season. This series is big. That one could be massive.
Yeah, that one is certainly going to be a playoff decider, in my opinion, because Casper was so close to clawing back into that race in the first half. They got to be angry that they didn't take that first playoff spot. Hastings has to be mad about how they lost their playoff spot. There's going to be a lot of good baseball down the stretch in the ILB this year.
And we are ready for it tonight. Let's introduce you to tonight's starting lineups. As always, we'll start with the visiting Hastings Sodbusters. From 1 through 9, it'll be Christian Loera playing shortstop, batting first. Brady Alexander out in center field. Cale Jensen batting third. He is today's DH for the Sodbusters. Weston Johnson will be catching and batting cleanup today. Brock Cross will be out at the hot corner batting fifth. Jaden Shabry will be playing first, batting sixth. Jackson Crane will be out in right field batting seventh. Jet Hannaford will be playing left field batting 8th, and in the 9-hole it will be Drew Vega playing second base. We'll introduce you to the Oahe Zap starting lineup here momentarily, but before we do that, we're going to hear our great PA announcer Jeff Adele honor us with the national anthem. So we send it over one door to the other broadcast booth, and we hand it over to Jeff Adele to sing the national anthem before we get today's first pitch.
Veterans and non-uniformed military personnel, they salute. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, it's no Estevan Baca, but Jeff Adele always does a great job with the national anthem. Big thanks to him. Now let's meet the starting 9 for the Oahe Zap here this afternoon. Starting at shortstop, Jared Pugrad will be leading off for the Zap. Nick Golden will be batting second, playing out in left field. Vince Palizzi is back from his trip. He will be DHing and batting third today. Ty Farwell playing out at the hot corner, batting cleanup for the Zap. Alex Jackson will be out in right field, batting fifth. Quinn Ludvigsen will be playing at first base and batting sixth today. Gavin Frazier moving over a couple feet to his left, playing second base and batting seventh. Mason Lang will be behind the dish, and he will be batting eighth today. Emiliano Curiel will be out in center, and he will be batting ninth. Out in the field, it'll be Mr. Richard Gilmore, our bases umpire this afternoon, and behind the plate calling balls and strikes will be Chris Dozark. We've got a pretty cool couple first pitches going on today as Brecken Mefford throughout the first, but now we get the brother of right fielder Alex Jackson. His name is Zachary Jackson, and he just fired a pitch in there to his brother Alex for today's first pitch. How cool is that moment? That's something that those two are going to share for a while.
Yeah, that was a cool moment. They didn't tell Alex that he was coming into town to throw the first pitch, so When we just saw him run onto the field, that was the first Alex had seen him.
All right, we've called a couple things this season in the broadcast booth. We called a Vince Polizzi home run, a couple double plays. Do we think Alex Jackson's going to go yard today with his family in attendance as a surprise?
Hey, his first college home run was with them in attendance, so maybe his second Zap home run will come from in attendance as well.
We can only hope. We do have some incoming weather. We don't know if it's going to do it like it did on the 4th of July, where it just split right at the bridge and allowed us to have a wonderful holiday, but there are some menacing clouds back behind the broadcast booth. Some forecasts say it won't get here until 10 p.m. Some forecasts say it's about an hour away, and we'll keep you updated on that as it moves along. Hopefully it does exactly what storms do. They come towards Pier, they look worse than ever, they hit the Missouri River, and they just dissipate, so we can only hope for that today. The starting pitchers matchup will be Mr. Brady Glenn coming out to start today for the Zap. A situation that he's not too familiar with. We've seen him work great in relief, but he's getting the nod today to start.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if this is an opener, maybe a bullpen-style game, or if they're going to let him eat and try to go 4 or 5 innings today.
We have seen a lot of those bullpen-style games. Some have worked great for the Zap. Some have been good timing where they really didn't want to use some of their best arms and use some of their starters, and those are games that the Zap will hopefully forget about quickly. But there haven't been many forgettable games for the Zap as of late. They have been winning and winning a lot, and in those wins, they've been scoring a lot of runs. It seems like every time we show up to the ballpark, the Zap are putting double-digit numbers up in that runs column.
Yeah, it feels like that has been kind of the norm for the Zap as of late. They've scored 10 in a lot of those games that they've been winning, and getting a lot of run rules and getting out of these ballparks early. I'm sure they could use one of those tonight, make sure they don't have to flirt with that rain later.
Zap are in their home whites with Zap straight across the chest in blue and yellow. They've got the navy blue caps with blue stripes down their white pants. The Sodbusters are in their Oakland Athletics green and golds. They've got Sodbusters across the chest. Their bottoms are gray and their caps are green. And now for the ball game as Brady Glenn comes set, fires our first pitch of the day in there for strike one to Christian Loera, and we are off and running. A good crowd making their way into Hyde Stadium. If you're not able to make the game today, we want to thank you for joining us on River 92.7 and drgnews.com via the Zap YouTube. Second pitch from Glenn must have missed a bit high because it was a good-looking pitch, but the count runs even to Loera, 1-1. And you can just kind of feel it when you showed up today. Usually the guys are happy-go-lucky. They still were, but they knew there was a big game ahead of them as Glenn with the 2-1 misses high.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that could get this group anything short of their liveliness that they typically show, but it's a serious one at the ballpark today.
These guys always have fun, and that just kind of goes with the camaraderie that we've heard so much about. The 2-1 pitch is swung on and missed by Loera. Count evened up at 2 apiece.
These Sodbuster jerseys are just gorgeous, man. Those are just clean.
They sure are, aren't they? Make you wonder why the Athletics couldn't stay in Oakland, but if you want to dive into that, we probably need the doubleheader we've got tomorrow. Here's the 2-2 from Glenn. That one ripped back our way and just a bit high. The open window here in our broadcast booth. We're ready today. No glove with me. Probably would have needed a glove to field that one. That one had some mustard on it. But Loera stays alive. It's 2-2 again. Richard Gilmore over there doing a little bit of housekeeping on first base, making sure it's in there sturdy. Glenn comes set with another 2-2. This one lifted high. That's going to fly towards shallow right. Couple guys near it. Alex Jackson calls them all off, and he squeezes the first out of the inning.
They might need to do some housekeeping on third base, too, because it doesn't look like it's firmly in the ground. I can see like a gap between it and the ground.
There is a little bit of a gap between the dirt and the bag over at third base. It's also kind of leaning over the first base line, so it's not exactly perfectly lined up. Don't let Hudson Ivy see that. He might,
good
thing
he's in the dugout.
Yeah. So Glenn with a quick out. Now a quick curveball just misses outside for ball one to Brady Alexander. Zap, we're happy to see the Sodbusters leave town the last time they came, as another off-speed pitch misses high for ball two. This Sodbusters team just played small ball all day long, dropping bunts and really had the Zap head spinning. But I have to imagine the Zap are happy to see him come back. Here's the 2-0, make it 3-0 as that one misses outside. Because there's got to be a certain level of confidence this team is playing with right now over the last couple weeks that we've seen out of this Oahe Zap ball club.
Yeah, and you got to get your get back. I mean, they've beat you all 4 times this year. You got to get some sort of revenge this weekend.
The 3-0 pitch from Glenn. That one catches the outside corner for strike one.
That bunting last time, that just had the Zap discombobulated in every aspect of defense.
Here's the 3-1 from Glenn. That one runs low, so Brady Alexander will draw a one-out walk. Discombobulated. Did you get another list of words today, Dylan?
No, that one's just one of my favorite words just ever. Discombobulated. It's a great word.
That is a great word.
Big fan of that one.
Big fan of discombobulated. And you know, if I'm the Sodbusters, I probably wouldn't think twice about trying to lay down a couple more bunts the way that it worked out for you the last time you were here. This will bring up Cale Jensen, designated hitter today, left-handed hitter. Pulls back a check swing, and he should have swung because it's strike one. A good off-speed pitch there from Brady Glenn.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see him bunt today, but if they're 3-hole and 4-hole hitter bunting, that might be in some trouble.
They're going to check on Alexander over at first base. He's back standing.
That'd be a mind game right there. You have your power guys start laying down bunts, really just getting ahead of your opponent.
Well, it seemed like just about everybody in that Sodbuster lineup was bunting the last time. There's a swing and a foul back into the fencing behind home plate, and it's quickly 0-2 for Brady Glenn. And Zap would love to see Glenn get out of this top half of the first inning with a minimal amount of pitches. Of course, we don't really know the plans for Jamie Habiger today. He's been kind of keeping those close to the chest. Or close to the vest, I should say. 0-2, fouled off. He'll stay alive. Yeah, close to the chest, close to the vest, all in the same region of the body. Glenn tosses himself the ball out of that right-handed mitt into his left-handed throwing hand. And now a quick check on Alexander over at first. He gets back to first base in time with a little bit more urgency than the last time he was checked on.
Such a nonchalant kind of pickoff move. He didn't really ever come set there.
Runner going. That pitch is outside. Throw down from Lang to the backhand of Pugrad. An outstanding snag from Pugrad to keep that one from going into center field. It was a good throw there from Mason Lang. Had he gotten it on the opposite side of the bag, they might have gotten Brady Alexander, but Pugrad doing a nice job keeping the runner at second base.
That was pretty close.
We've seen Lang with a couple good throwouts, even one coming when he was wearing the Bison uniform, when they had to borrow a catcher. Here's the 1-2 from Glenn. That one's ripped towards first, and a funky hop. It's barehanded by Ludvigsen. What a play from Quinn Ludvigsen. Keeps that one from catching him on the teeth, and he makes the second out of the inning. He got no leather on that. It took a funky hop off the skirt of the infield and bounced up right into the face area of Quinn Ludvigsen. He snagged it with his free hand, and that's got to hurt.
Yeah, it's not Delta Dental night, or Quinn. That's a good play to make.
That's an outstanding play to make.
You'd have been at the dentist tomorrow morning, and he's got a great smile, man. You can't go damaging that.
We've only got 2 outs in the top of the first inning. We might have our play of the game. The runner was able to move to third, but a quick pop-up on the first pitch over towards the second base side. Gavin Frazier's got it, and that's the third out of the inning. So Brady Glenn works pretty efficiently. They allow a runner on with a walk. He gets all the way to third, but Brady Glenn and some good defense from his first baseman are able to get out of the jam. We'll stay right here. It's time for our first inning Fiber Fact, brought to you by Venture Communications. Well, we talked a lot about fiber optic cable here this season, and the future of fiber optic technology is promising, with ongoing research to further increase its speed, efficiency, and applications, and always improving our Venture Communications. They've got great things going on over there with some weather possibly coming through tonight. I'm not worried about my internet connection because I've got fiber provided by Venture Communications. Big thanks to Venture for sponsoring our first inning Fiber Fact. And it will be Jared Pugrad, Nick Golden, and Vince Polizzi leading off the bottom half of the first inning here at a scoreless game. Good to see Vince Polizzi back in the lineup, Dylan.
Yeah, that's always good to have your arguably best hitter in maybe the history of the Zap back in the lineup. I mean, he's the home run leader for sure, and he's been nothing short of incredible so far. Even with taking some time off, he's still leading the Zap in a whole bunch of statistical cacategories.
And it'll be fun to see Jared Pugrad leading off as well, maybe get some speed out there on the bases. You know, we see Gavin Frazier in that leadoff spot, but Jared Pugrad's been doing a lot of great things for this Zap lineup. He will be leading things off, and then we get Nick Golden in the 2-hole, who's also been hitting the ball very well. So a very damaging 1-2-3 here for the Zap today. But back to Vince, you know, you just said something that kind of made me think a little bit. I wonder, he must feel extremely comfortable in his role as the DH and also playing some first base for the Zap. And last year we saw him get the home run ball going quickly, and he hit 3 home runs in one game, followed that up with another home run in the game the following morning. But then he went quiet after that, but that has not been the case this season. Vince Polizzi has been doing damage all season long.
Yeah, and it feels like he's kind of – it's not like he's chasing the home run ball quite as much as he was last year. I mean, he's hitting – for good average right now, a few ticks over 300, and he's been impressive in the contact game because he can even up a game in one swing. There's no doubt about it, but sometimes you don't need a home run. Sometimes you just need that backside single, and he's been getting those this year as well.
Well, that's what's been working so well for the Zap all season long, has been their small ball, their ability to take walks, get runners on base, and they be aggressive on the base paths has really kind of worked out to a lot of wins for this Zap team. And it was funny, for the longest time, the Zap were hitting home runs and couldn't win games. We went on a stretch seemingly all the way through the month of June and from the end of May where the Zap would go deep, but they couldn't win games. It was like every time they hit a home run, that was the death spell for the game that day.
Yeah, it was just a curse, and it was kind of like those home runs would be like the one spark of offense, and then everything would just go quiet. And the Zap lineup is starting to feel a lot like when we would see Spearfish early in the year, Casper early in the year, and we'd be like, there's nowhere you can really hide in this lineup. Right now it's starting to feel like that. I mean, you have guys like Gavin Frazier, Mason Lang batting 7 and 8 tonight. I mean, those are leadoff and 3-hole quality hitters for this team a month ago.
Well, we've, Jamie Habiger has been great, offering himself up to us to talk whenever we have questions as Pugrad steps into the right-handed batter's box and takes ball 1 up and in. But it's been kind of a running theme, how hard it is for Jamie Habiger to make these lineups because there are so many hot bats.
And this lineup is just getting hot at the perfect time to make a playoff push.
Here's the 1-0 to Pugrad. He takes that up and in for ball 2. Josh Nolte, a tall right-handed hurler. He can really bring it. Got a lively fastball and a good off-speed pitch, so that's something that the Zap will have to deal with today.
He's one of the best pitchers in the league this year. Will certainly be an all-ILB performer.
Pugrad not agreeing with that strike call from Chris Dozark. A little bit inside, but it caught a piece, so the count runs 2-1.
I was confusing him with another guy, but he's also been looking very sharp here.
That one runs inside to Pugrad, and now we've got a quick early visit from Weston Johnston. Now to talk to his starting pitcher.
Yeah, that's 3 pitches that have all ran inside. I'm wondering if there's some sort of control issue with that, as I mean, he's missing all in kind of one spot right now.
Even that one strike in this 3-1 count was more towards the inside inner half of the strike zone. So Pugrad with a hitter's count. We'll see what he does with it. Even if it's a walk, Zap would love to have their leadoff hitter on base, and he is plunked by that 3-1 pitch. Pugrad, already a fiery guy, exactly what the Zap lineup needed. Bringing him in about halfway through, was fired up about that. Hit by pitch, and, well, we're just getting it out of the way early.
Yeah, so
here.
was the dugout. They were yelling about that one after the previous 3. It all missed pretty close to him on the body.
But Pugrad, a team guy, happy to wear one for the Zap. He'll head down to first, and that'll bring up left-handed Nick Golden.
I'm sure he's just happy he didn't wear it on the knee like he did last game.
Golden squaring the bunt, pulls it back, takes ball 1 high.
We need a sports book to start taking prop action on which Zap batter will get hit first.
Yeah, it's not will a Zap batter get hit, because
which one?
that'd be minus 5,000. You got to pick the actual player. Here's the 1-0 to Golden. That's outside. Ball 2. Even to the left-handed hitter, these pitches are missing.
Yeah.
From the catcher's eye towards that left-handed side of the plate over towards the right-handed batter's box. So that'll be something to keep an eye on here today. Pugrad fakes the steal, and Golden takes strike 1 on the outside corner.
Nolte sure does have a lot of fire on that fastball, though.
There's a lot of zip on it, and from that right-handed pitcher, it runs a little bit off towards arm side. Pugrad is going this time around. They're going to throw down. It's a beautiful throw, and they have gotten Pugrad on the steal. Was going to need a perfect throw to get him, and that's exactly what Weston Johnston delivered. But the Zap staying aggressive on the base paths. That'll be the first out of the inning.
And on a ball to Nick Golden, if he walks here, that might be one the Zap end up regretting in this one. Aggressive sin from Habiger.
3-1 pitch, misses outside and right on cue. Nick Golden will take first, and that'll bring up Vince Polizzi. Polizzi had a little break as he went out of town, but he is back, and hopefully he kept that bat nice and warm while he was gone.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably just had it in the oven waiting for him the whole time. And I feel like that was an aggressive sin because Nolte's not been throwing a lot of off speed so far this game. It felt like he's really been peppering that fastball in.
Well, he also hadn't been throwing a lot of strikes as he misses this one down and away for ball one. But, you know, Jamie Habiger did say we're going to be aggressive on the base paths no matter what, and he's living true to that word. Golden with a short lead over on first. And Polizzi will take strike one on a fastball in the inside corner. Yeah, you're right. We haven't seen any off. I don't think we've seen one off-speed pitch from Josh Nolte here in the early going. It's been all fastballs. Nolte with a quick peek over at Golden at first, and now Polizzi will drive one towards the shortstop and over his head. Christian Loera couldn't climb the ladder to get to that one, and the Zap have him on first and second with one of the hottest Zap hitters in Ty Farwell coming to the plate.
Had a chance to get just what the doctor ordered, a early lead here. Punch first, and the way the Zap have been responding to adversity, it's not like they're just throwing the first punch and laying down like a lot of the times they're
Jake. As I saw a couple of the guys hooping on their day off up at the YMCA. 0-1 here to Farwell. Golden dancing around on. He steps in and gets set for the pitch. And I asked him, I said, is that a superstition thing? Is it something that just kind of reminds you of a technique you like to use? Here's the 1-1 from Nolte. That one bounced towards the second baseman. Nobody covering first in time. Here comes Nolte. Farwell can't leg it out. Good coverage and a good play made by the second baseman, Drew Vega. And you know what? I'm going to leave everybody on the edge of their seats about that little hip shake shimmy from Ty Farwell until the next time he comes up to the plate. As we've got a big moment here in this ball game with 2 outs when the Zap have done a lot of damage, and Alex Jackson coming up to the plate with runners on second and third. We told you his family surprised them here in attendance today. We'll see if he can come up in a big spot here for the Zap. Golden on third, Polizzi on second, and a strike one called to Alex Jackson. He can't believe it, as Weston Johnston had his glove in the dirt when he caught that first pitch.
That one was a head scratcher.
It's all about where it crosses the plate, not where it finishes. That's from Richard Gilmore himself as Alex shoots one into right field on a line, but right to a waiting Jackson Crane. So that'll be the end of the first inning. No score. Both teams putting some runners on base. They can't do anything with it. As we will stick right here. Dillon Beach got to talk to Mr. Jared Pugrad down on the field before today's game. And we'll get it connected here and talk to today's shortstop for the Oahe Zap. Sometimes he plays second base, but you know, we always love talking to Jared Pugrad. And of course, I'm just trying to kill time while we get this thing pulled up. You know, it never works easy on the Bluetooth with us, as it always wants to give us fits here left and right. But at long last, we now are set up. And let's hear from the shortstop here for the Oahe Zap today, Mr. Jared Pugrad.
Dillon Beach here with the Oahe Zap. Here with star shortstop Jared Pugrad. Jared, you've had a couple of weeks to settle in with the team. How are you enjoying your time with Pierre and the Zap?
It's exciting. You know, I have a few teammates from back in my school, so they helped me settle in with the guys. But as soon as I got to the dugout first day, I mean, they were super welcoming. I've had a pretty fun time with them. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Team had a good series versus the Bison, but a couple of big series coming off. You guys had a couple of off days. What was kind of your routine through those off days, kind of stay ready for these series upcoming?
Yeah, so our first off day, I think a lot of us just took it off. But yesterday we had a little team practice. It was always good. Got us ready for some velo. A lot of us are at the gym, so that's good. But, yeah, I mean, took a big mental day off, and I think we're ready to go now. So.
Yeah, so a couple of big series versus Hastings and Casper for the playoff push. What's kind of the message with the team right now as the season really hunkers down for that second playoff spot?
I think like the big thing we always talk about is grit. So just always staying ready, keeping our bodies loose, having a fun time, but also just know what we're here for. So playing baseball and just having a fun time. Hopefully we can push through.
Thank you, Jared. Good luck.
And that was starting shortstop Jared Pugrad with Dylan Beach. And, Dylan, it was really cool to see those guys up there playing together, playing basketball, because Drew Drake, one of the newer Zap members, was with them. And it felt like he had been with the team for months already.
As Brady Glenn comes set, fires that one missing. High for ball 1.
But it's just a testament to how great this team is with pulling guys in, making them feel comfortable, as Pugrad just said there in the interview. Felt like Drew Drake had been with this team since May.
1-0 from Glenn, swung foul over the grandstand and in Capitol Avenue. It's definitely, this group gives off very welcoming vibes. It felt like all of the new guys really meshed in with this team instantaneously. It felt like they've been with the team all year. 1-1 from Glenn. Swung, chopped high to Pugrad, firing over to Ludvigsen. Drags him off the bag, gets back in time for the first out of the inning.
Well, that took a funky hop right there off the skirt, right in front of home plate. It was hit low off the bat, but then took a huge sky hop, kind of a Sunday hop right there to Pugrad. But a nice throw from Pugrad, too, getting a fast runner and Jackson Crane out, and a good job by Ludvigsen doing a little toe tap work there on the back end. And now we're going to have a chat with Chris Dozark. That was short-lived with the third base coach there for the Hastings Sodbusters. That was actually Brock Cross, that ran that, or almost legged that out, but he didn't leave first base. He thought he beat it out and didn't think Quinn Ludvigsen got to the bag in time.
Yeah, it was certainly a very bang play over at first. Glenn firing that one in for strike 1. Ludvigsen was dragged off the bag a little bit, but just by a hair, and he could find the bag in time. So Cross goes down for the first out. That one chopped towards Pugrad, firing across his body in time for the second out of the inning. Jared Pugrad's going to need a new glove tonight. He's staying busy this inning.
Yeah, he sure is. And, he just looks – it's always fun to watch this middle infield play, whether Pugrad's at second and Frazier's at short or flip-flop like it is today. Because both of these guys, they just make it look so natural and so casual out there. They make the tough plays look easy, as Pugrad did right there, having a charge on that one, make a tough throw on the move.
An efficient inning so far for Glenn. That one sky high to left field. Golden giving chase, curling foul into the glove of Nick Gold for the third out of the inning. A huge efficient inning there for Brady Glenn. The Zap tied up with Hastings heading to the bottom of the second. We'll be right back here on River 92.7.
Looking for happenings in Central South Dakota? The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce Community Calendar is your go-to for all the latest events. From entertainment to local benefits, community activities, and more, there's something for everyone. Email your event to contactchamber@pierre.org and it will be listed on the weekly calendar. To view the calendar, go to www.pierre.org. Let's celebrate together in the heart of South Dakota. The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce, connecting our community one event at a time.
Doing a little spring cleaning at your house? I'm Val Keller, City of Pierre Solid Waste Manager, letting you know the City Supply Swap program can help. We'll recycle cleaning supplies, paint, and other household chemicals you don't want anymore. Plus, you're free to take any products other people dropped off for recycling. The swap program helps our customers and keeps things out of our landfill. Supplies we accept include stains and sealers, pesticides, pool chemicals, typical cleaning agents, as well as oil-based paint, latex paint, and spray paint. For additional information, call 605-773-7434. Again, that's 773-7434 for more information about recycling your household supplies and paint. Let the City of Pierre help you get your home and garage cleared out and cleaned up for the summer months.
This public service message is brought to you by the radio stations of the DRG Media Group in Pierre.
You want to talk about efficiency? Look no further than Brady Glenn's last inning. A 6-pitch inning for Brady Glenn. Used 3 pitches on the first out to get that ground out to Jared Pugrad, then just 2 on the second batter before just 1 on that sky out to Nick Golden. Zap tied up here in the bottom of the second. Quinn Ludvigsen due up, then Gavin Frazier and Mason Lang here this inning for the Oahe Zap.
So he went 3 pitches, 2 pitches, 1 pitch. I'm trying to figure out how he gets somebody out with no pitches in the top of the third the next time around.
It's only going down from there.
What an outing right there in that Top of the second. That should give the Zap a little bit of momentum here. Try to get to Josh Nolte, who has had a little bit of difficulty finding the zone.
That one misses off the plate for ball one, and Zap were close to striking first in the bottom of the first inning. They had runners on second and third. Alex Jackson ripped one right into the glove of the right fielder, Jackson Crane. That one missing for ball two.
But a good sign there from this Zap lineup, because we saw a couple hard hit balls. We saw Palizzi get on base with his single, and then Alex Jackson really hit that one well. Just kind of the struggle that the Zap have had all season long. There was a defender standing right in front of it.
2-0 to Ludvigsen in there for strike one. That's kind of been Alex Jackson's struggle there for a while. We saw that series a couple weeks ago versus Casper where he had 2 balls and back-to-back at-bats that were just laced into the outfield, just right into the glove of Marsick and Reeves. But then he found real estate the next day. That one in there for ball 3 to Ludvigsen.
Yeah, and it's tough to even call that a struggle. It's more of just an unfortunate turn of events. You know? Because it's great to see these guys putting charges into them. They just happen to be hitting them right at guys in the opposite jerseys.
3-1 to Ludvigsen. Off the plate, a 5-pitch walk to lead things off here in the bottom of the second for the Oahe Zap.
Love to see that. We've seen some patient at-bats here early. Saw one from Jared Pugrad to lead off the game. Of course, he got plunked by a pitch. And then from Quinn Ludvigsen there. We'll see how aggressive Jamie Habiger wants to be on the base paths here, knowing that Nolte has had a little bit of difficulty finding the zone, as we mentioned, but also with the way that the bottom of the first went, you got guys in scoring position, and if you hadn't sent Pugrad, what that inning could have been.
Yeah, and Josh Printer going to have a talk with Nolte, and not the most confident building thing. They already have motion in the bullpen. It's Elijah Thomas getting loose in the bullpen, so might be a short day from Nolte if he can't regain it, but feels like he's kind of been missing all in one place today in that right-handed batter's box, and he kind of just really hasn't had much command of it as of lately.
Yeah, and it's got to be tough for a pitcher, too, kind of bouncing around from stadium to stadium. I know that pitchers sometimes, just can't get the feel and the look correct when you go on the road to visiting ballparks, and that's just something that goes with the mental game of baseball. We compare a lot of this stuff to golf and how the mental aspects of those two kind of marry very well to each other. And sometimes it's tough for a pitcher to get into a rhythm when you're in the game, and you just can't seem to find your spot.
Nolte sets, delivers, fires in. Strike one to Gavin Frazier.
Found his spot there. Good fastball from Nolte. But again, like you said earlier, what a dangerous spot of the lineup, and we're 7, 8, 9 here with Frazier, Lang, and Curiel.
Frazier shows bunt and hits that one foul.
Wouldn't be surprised if Jamie Habiger, Devin Skelton, and Coach Wiggins trying to give the Sodbusters a taste of their own medicine from their last visit to Hyde Stadium when they bunted the brakes off the ball.
Say, you guys made us practice bunt defense in practice. We're going to make you guys do it now.
And we won't give you any time because we've got a doubleheader early tomorrow.
0-2 to Frazier, swung on a miss. Frazier goes down for the first strikeout of the day for the Hastings Sodbusters. Good bounce back there for Nolte.
Yeah, and I'm a little curious about that. Frazier took the first pitch, and then they had him bunt on the 0-1 count. Maybe would have liked to see a bunt attempt there on the first pitch of that at-bat. If it doesn't work out for you, then you're still playing with 2 strikes. But with that failed bunt attempt, Frazier was already behind 0-2.
Lang watches strike one. And Frazier was kind of behind from the start. Took that first pitch on the corner. And then Mason Lang now up. Trying to keep this inning going. That one skips in behind the plate. Ludvigsen takes second. Thinking about third, but ended up not going for it.
Well, after we saw the throw from Weston Johnston to cut down a speedy Pugrad, I think you got to be on your P's and Q's as a base runner here today. We know the Zap love to try to take and steal that extra base whenever the opportunity is presented. This is a game that you cannot fool around with wasting outs.
So now Lang with a runner in scoring position, one away. The 1-1 to him, in there for strike two.
And a good pitch from Nolte. Feels like he has settled in on that zone. He's still trying to hit that spot on the inner half of the the plate, which is the outer half for the left-handed hitter Mason Lang. But he's starting to find the zone with that fastball.
Lang behind in the count 1-2. Trying to come up big and score the first run for the Zap. That one in there for strike 3. Lang thought that one missed high. Chris Dozark disagreeing. Back-to-back Zap go down via strikeout.
See if Emiliano Curiel can come up with a timely base hit. You know, it's been such a struggle for the Zap all season long, has been their hitting with runners in scoring position. We've seen an uptick in that, but they've been playing, you know, without trying to be too disparaging, lesser opponents, teams with shorter rosters than the Sodbusters. And they're hitting with runners in scoring position has gotten a lot better. Now, we're seeing a ball change here with Richard Gilmore. I was curious if he was talking to him about a movement to try to prevent him from balking, which is something you will see umpires do. Sometimes they'll let the balk happen and then give an explanation. Gilmore may have been giving him an explanation before he tagged him with a balk, but interesting there to see Gilmore want to swap out the baseball and not the pitcher.
An interesting exchange. Ludvigsen dancing around at second. Curiel watching a strike in there. Whatever his teammates and coaching staff told him during that mound visit sure has worked, Justin, because he has been firing strikes in ever since they started a guy warming up in the bullpen, and they just called him back. So Nolte settling in nicely here. Zap trying not to strand their third runner of the game in scoring position. If you're going to make the playoffs, you have got to find a way to bring these runners across. You can't show any mercy. You've got to be lethal with runners in scoring position. See if Emiliano Curiel can come up big and score the first for the Zap. The 0-1 to him. Swung foul over the press box.
Yeah, the other thing that Nolte's doing in this inning is he's getting in favorable counts for him. He's getting ahead of these hitters, and we've already seen a couple 0-1, quickly 0-2 counts like we see here to Curiel. And Curiel maybe showing a little gamesmanship, trying to work on the equipment there. Not sure it needed any adjustments, maybe just trying to mess up the timing of Josh Nolte, who's just absolutely cruising right now.
Nolte looking much more comfortable than he was in the bottom of the first. Ahead in the count, 0-2. Here's the offering. Swung on and missed. Or swung fouled back. I thought that one was in the glove for a minute.
Well, now Dozark isn't sure what the call is because Gilmore saw it from a mile away. Dozark was out headed to have a conversation with his bases umpire and Richard Gilmore because he wasn't sure if that ball was caught. He didn't even get past the dirt skirt there in front of home plate. Gilmore shaking his head. Nope, he didn't catch it. And Curiel stays alive.
Curiel getting a lifeline there. See if he can use it. Still behind in the count, 0-2. Ludvigsen on second, 2 away. Nolte sets, fires that one high and inside for ball 1.
Yeah, and a good take there by Curiel. Wanted to offer it that fastball, but saw it running a little bit up and in, probably knowing that's where the miss has been.
Would have been a hard pitch to get to with the life that Nolte has on his fastball. Count now 1-2. Curiel trying to come up big. Let the Zap strike first. The offering from Nolte. Line towards second, or grounded I should say. Fired over to first in time for the third out of the inning. So the Zap strand their third base runner in scoring position. And it's only the bottom of the second. We'll be right back at the top of the third as Brady Glenn comes back out, moving efficiently.
Thinking of travel? Pierre Regional Airport offers non-stop flights to Denver. Starting August 1st, book your destination at United.com. With United Mileage Plus, you can save more by earning miles when you fly from Pierre Regional Airport. 1-hour flights to Denver and the world beyond. Avoid the crowds, avoid the drive, and enjoy free parking when you fly from Pierre Regional Airport. United Airlines in Pierre starting August 1st. Skip the drive. Fly from Pierre.
We're good at making excuses for things we don't want to do.
I can't work late because my cat has a job interview.
Unfortunately, we're also good at making excuses for things we shouldn't do, like driving drunk.
There's nothing on the back roads but cows.
The truth is, there's no good reason to drink and drive. Not even if you stick to the back roads. If you drink, don't drive. No excuses. Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety, South Dakota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
If you're interested in becoming a valued sponsor of an Oahe Zap broadcast, you can contact us for more information at sports@dakotaradiogroup.com or call us at 605-224-8686.
Hey Zap baseball fans, it's Justin Cowart. If you're interested in a podcast that's sports and only sports, you need to check out Players Perspective. I have athletes and coaches from the South Dakota area and across the country, from the high school all the way up to the professional level. Come on and tell stories of their biggest and best moments of their athletic careers. If it's sports, you bet we cover it on Players Perspective Podcast, sponsored by Avera. You can find it wherever you find podcasts by searching DRG Media Group or on drgnews.com. Now, back to myself and Dylan Beach in the broadcast booth for some more Zap baseball.
Thanks, Justin, for that beautiful intro, as always, as we see Beat the Zap at the ballpark. Andrew Phillips losing a narrow one, and I got to ask, another special guest this week on Players Perspective?
We've got a great story coming up next week. A gentleman by the name of Travis Scott. No, I saw two heads dart over here, big hip-hop fans. No, not the rapper. I'll explain more through this at-bat by Jet Hannaford as Glenn comes set, and the first one fouled back into the netting. This gentleman is biking 2,800 miles across the country, and he's actually making his way through South Dakota this week. He had a rest day in Pierre 2 days ago. As the 0-1 from Glenn to Hannaford falls in for strike 2. And he's been posting pictures. He made it by Devil's Tower. And as I mentioned in Pierre, he's making his way to Vermilion now as we speak. Here's the 0-2 from Glenn. Swung on and missed. And efficiency from Glenn continues as that's a 3-pitch strikeout for the first out of the inning as he gets Jet Hannaford down swinging. But yes, Travis Scott will be joining us next week. And my dad's a big cyclist, so I'm going to count on him for all the cycling questions, and then I'm going to come up with the dumb questions like, have you thought about getting a more comfortable seat for these 2,800 miles? Like, is there any way you can mount an airplane seat on that thing? First pitch is outside for Drew Vega. He squared the bunt, pulled it back, took ball 1.
And as a guy who never learned how to ride a bike, that is an incredible feat that I didn't think people would ever do.
So he's riding about 50 to 70 miles a day. That one in there for strike 1. Vega turned to bunt again, but pulled it back. This time it's a strike. Do you know how to ride a bike yet?
No, I still don't. I mean, I lived in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. There was nowhere I was ever going to ride a bike to.
Here's the 1-1, swung on and missed. Good pitch from Glenn. That one way off the plate. Vega still offered. Glenn kind of tapping his chest in the direction of Mason Lang like he missed his spot, but it's always works when it's a swing and a miss. Here comes the 1-2 from Glenn. That one lifted high down the right field line, curling over the Zap dugout and foul. Well, I wish I had known this back when Hastings was here the last time, June 16th. We would have had a little bit more time to get you up on the 2 wheels and get you riding around, but I understand your sentiment that there really wasn't much to bike to in Indiana.
I had a bike, had training wheels, we just never took them off.
Never took them off. They're still on to this day. Here's the 1-2 from Glenn. That one lifted in the same direction, a little bit shorter, but curling out into the seats foul. And a nice snag made there by a veteran Zap fan. So the count stays 1-2. 1 out here. No score in the top of the 3rd inning. No hits for the Sodbusters, just the 1 walk, as this one again fouled down the right field line. So Drew Vega peppering that right side of the ballpark.
Started to feel like that Jake Daly at bat where he fouled off 9 straight pitches.
And he did them in the same exact spot. I mean, everything was down that left field third base line. So let's do the 1-2 again with Brady Glenn. This time it's lined into right field. Alex Jackson had him played perfectly. And he trots a couple steps in to make the second out of the inning. Normally we see that right fielder about 10 steps short of the warning track, but Alex Jackson playing much more shallow, read the scouting report perfectly on Drew Vega. And he was in the perfect position to make that play.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've seen the Zap outfield that shallow ever this season. I thought that was going to get down originally, and then I looked up, and Alex Jackson just standing right there.
We've seen so many hits to that part of the ballpark drop in for hits, as the first pitch to Christian Loera is ball one outside.
Especially those ones where it's kind of off the end of the bat, and it just sky high, and it just drops in between everybody because everyone's playing so deep.
The 1-0 is in there for strike one. A good curveball there from Brady Glenn. Hot day. Farmers Union Insurance, as this one is poked down the left field line, curling towards the line, and that one's going to get down for a base hit. Nick Golden will fire into second base, but upstanding is Christian Loera, and he couldn't have placed that ball any more perfect. If you're Christian Loera, Nick Golden, a fast runner out there in left field, still wasn't able to get to that one. It was hit off the end of the bat and was flirting with that foul line, but just stayed fair. And with 2 outs, the Sodbusters get their first hit of the ball game and have a runner in scoring position.
That was a bit of a scary moment for Golden on the throw. His legs kind of buckled. He wasn't the quickest to get up, but kind of got up and shook it out.
He's back in his position standing. First pitch swung on and missed by Brady Alexander, a guy who did a lot of damage to the Zap the last time they were here, were the Sodbusters. So a good start to a good hitter for Brady Glenn. It's 0-1. Glenn comes set. That one swung on and missed. Back-to-back off-speed pitches get back-to-back swings and misses, and now Glenn is 1 strike away from another great inning. Pitch is just off the plate for ball one. That's tough because that was a pitch that the Sodbusters were getting the last time the Zap were at the plate. At least it looks like it from our vantage point. Again, to Chris Dozark's credit, we don't have the best angle on where these pitches come in. Here's the 1-2. That one found the zone, and he goes down looking. So Brady Glenn with another great inning retires the side with a...
The Oahe Zap are back, and we at DRG Media Group are bringing you Stadium for some Zap baseball this summer. Purchase your...
At Hyde Stadium in the bottom of the third inning, the Zap Brady Glenn. Glenn has been outstanding in his start today. We see one body down there in the Zap dugout, Zap bullpen. But it sure doesn't like anybody's getting loose, so especially with his minimal amount of pitches as Brady Glenn has thrown, would love to see him get deep into this ball game. Get the water balloon toss going on here today, and I began to mention Farmers Union Insurance has got their sponsored night tonight. They're handing out a very much needed tool up here in the broadcast booth, and what you'll need in your homes, fly swatters given out today. But it's another game in the triple digits temperature-wise. It's 100 degrees here at Hyde Stadium, and a lot of fans are using these fly swatters and fashioning them into fans to try to cool themselves off here on a hot day in central South Dakota. Some folks are finding other ways to cool themselves off. They volunteered to do the water balloon toss, and we see a couple getting busted and cooling off some young fans here, and now Brooks Cartwright is going to get splashed with a couple water balloons. That's the Risk Your Run, being the PA announcer down there on the field. Folks want to get after you with some water balloons as well.
Especially when you're a guy like Brooks running the games. If you ever tells a kid no, he's probably on a list to get a water balloon thrown at him the next game.
And he's always got a smile on his face, so it looks like he is welcoming a water balloon toss as Jared Pugrad climbs into the right-handed batter's box. He'll start off the bottom of the third here, and he'll start it off with a swing and a miss on one of the few off-speed pitches we've seen out of Josh Nolte here today. It's a hot day, but it's not a sun-drenched day like we've had in the past. The 0-1 misses low to Pugrad for ball one. We've got some storms in the area, but as we take a peek at the radar, looks like they might miss us just north. Of course, we're knocking on wood with that. 1-1 in there for strike two. And again, Nolte getting ahead with some well-placed fastballs. It'll be Pugrad, Golden, and Palizzi, and hopefully more for the Zap here in the bottom of the third as a Baltimore chop makes its way to shortstop. Loera firing to first, and in time to retire Jared Pugrad. So that'll bring up Nick Golden. Nick Golden walked his first time up. See if he can find his way on base again. And I'm sure that I'll get a text from our resident meteorologist, my dad, who listens to every Zap game, and he'll probably send us a picture of the radar to let us know that we might be in the clear here for this afternoon as the first pitch is swung on and missed by Nick Golden. I say all of that to let you know that if the rain does happen to make its way through this area and this game is not official, they will not make it up in this 2-game series. Well, 3-game series, 2-day series, I should clarify. Here's the 0-1 to Golden. That's ripped up the middle and finds its way through. Good piece of hitting from Nick Golden, who got behind in the count, but he times up a fastball, rips it right back where it came from. And well, Vince Polizzi's got a runner on first and only one out.
Man, Nick Golden is an on-base machine.
But back to what I was mentioning, should we get rain through and this game's unable to be finished, they will make it up in the final series of the season. It's a 2-game series on July 26th and 27th. There will be an off day before the postseason. And could you imagine the drama and the theater should that third and final game be the difference between playoffs and going home? Polizzi fouls that one down the right field line. There's a lot of baseball to play until we get to that point, but we always like to come up with those scenarios.
Those scenarios are the most fun.
They sure are. Sometimes I'll be hard at work at the station and my brain will wander as what those crowds would look like as this one's fouled down the right field line over the Zap dugout, and it's 0-2 to Polizzi. Zap have continued to see growth in numbers here at Hyde Stadium as the season rolls along. That's what happens when the team wins. And they've been doing a lot of that lately. Zap find their way into first place in the ILB. This late in the season, it's the first time they've been in first place, as this one's fisted down the right field line and foul again. So Polizzi doing a nice job staying alive. Zap reached their all-time win total against the Bison. And now each win just creates a new record. This is by far the best Zap team that has been assembled since they've been here in Pierre. Here's the 0-2 to Polizzi. Off the plate, they're going to try to get Golden down at first with a throwdown from Johnston. Not in time. Golden making sure he's paying attention. And a big lead over there at first. Sodbusters trying to steal it out. Golden got back safely.
It's just been so impressive to kind of see the growth from the Zap team. It kind of felt early like it was just going to be another one of those seasons, but they've really bought in together over the last few weeks.
As Polizzi will take a 1-2 pitch inside for ball 2. That'll even up the count. And, we've talked about it before, but it felt like when the Zap would get leads in games, it was kind of like, oh, wow, Zap are out in front. How cool is this? Now, you kind of expect them to come into these games and get leads and come away with wins. As Polizzi fouls that off into the fencing behind home plate, he'll stay alive. And a big reason of that has been the guy at the plate right now in Vince Polizzi.
Yeah, and even while he was missing some time, he's still the home run leader. He's still one of the leaders in RBIs. I mean, when you have this guy in the lineup, he can give you a big lead in one swing.
And he's kind of a quiet leader in that dugout. He's not the boisterous, loud, rah-rah type of guy. I mean, he does get that way, but that's not who he is as a player. As this one runs way inside on Polizzi, and Nick Golden takes second base standing. Johnston couldn't get it out of the glove in time. It was a fastball with some extra mustard on it, and it kind of popped out of the mid of Johnston as he was raising up to try to throw down to second base, but the force out is out of play, and now Polizzi with a full count. And he's got a runner in scoring position. Clap chant starting here at Hyde Stadium. Here comes the payoff pitch to Polizzi. And he takes ball 4 down in the dirt. So another good patient at bat from Vince Polizzi. And now Ty Farwell with 1 out as runners on first and second and a chance to do some damage. Now I started the story about Ty Farwell and his patented little hip shake, and it looks like I'm going to have plenty of time to tell it, as this might be the end of the line for Josh Nolte. We'll let Dylan Beach give you the rundown on the relief pitcher coming in here for the Sodbusters should he make his way into the ball game. We'll see what Printer has in mind. The last time he came out to visit with Nolte, he left him in the ball game. And this is a long conversation here between Printer and Nolte. and he will finally take the ball. So Josh Nolte's day is done. He gives up 2 hits and a couple walks in his outing. He doesn't allow any runs to score, but he will set up runners on first and second here for his relief pitcher. But back to Ty Farwell. You know, everybody who's been to the Zap games and everybody in the dugout knows that hip shake that he does. He kind of, as a left-handed hitter, takes that left hip and thrusts it forward quickly 2 times before he steps into the batter's box every single pitch. And when I saw he and a couple of his teammates up at the YMCA play and pick up basketball, I had to ask him. I said, where does that hip thrust and hip shake come from? He says, you know, it goes back to when I believe I was about 15 years old. And one of the better coaches I had told me that I needed to work on driving my hips through, getting my hips to clear through, getting the bat to clear through. And he said it's just kind of a reminder for me of the motion that I need to have on my swings. And he said it's something I did when I was about 15 years old. It's stuck with me ever since. And I said, well, it's clearly working, because there was a stretch there where Ty Farwell was either getting hit by a pitch or he was hitting that pitch and finding his way on base. He has been one of the best hitters for the Zap, and that little hip shake and shimmy has kind of rubbed off on some of the other players. We were talking with Esteban Baca up here as he was staying in the AC before he had to head down to the dugout for the game. And I was telling him that story about Ty Farwell, and I said, I saw you do the hip shake before you stepped into the right-handed batter's box. He said, yeah, no, I saw it. I kind of looked over, made eye contact with Ty Farwell. I said, hey, Ty, and I did the hip shake. And I said, and the very next pitch, you ripped one through the gap between shortstop and third base. So maybe it's just something that all the Zap players need to start using before they step into the batter's box.
I'm going to start doing it in the tee box, see if I can hit my drive about like Ty Farwell hits a baseball.
Yeah, you might get some looks and stares, but all you need to say is the Ty Farwell hip shimmy shake, and that'll pay off for you. We'll see if Ty Farwell, with 1 out, runners on second and first, can face off. And Dylan, tell us about the newest pitcher here for the Hastings Sodbusters.
Yeah, Elijah Thomas now on the bump out of Rodeo, California, going to Contra Costa College. See what he has in store for this Zap lineup. Coming in a bit of a jam where they've already stranded 3 runners in scoring position. We'll see if they can finally strike. It feels like kind of all the momentum's been with the Zap despite not scoring so far in this game.
That, and it felt like Josh Nolte started to find his rhythm. You know, after that struggle in the first inning, he really started to find the strike zone in the second. But some patient at-bats by the Zap and a good hit by Nick Golden have got runners on, as we are still scoreless here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. First pitch misses high and away for ball 1.
Elijah Thomas.
So here's the 1-0 pitch from Thomas, and he'll step off. And Weston Johnston, we thought that was an early mound visit out to Josh Nolte. Well, this is a very early mound visit to Elijah Thomas, as he's thrown 1 pitch and is already getting greeted by his catcher, Weston Johnston.
I mean, Weston Johnston's a good catcher back there, but how much can you really see after 1 pitch?
That's a very
he might be able to see into the future, but, I mean, I'm not sure how much you can really envision after 1 pitch into an outing.
So Farwell ahead in the count, 1-0. We'll see what has changed in that mound visit between pitch number 1 and pitch number 2 from Thomas. Thomas, another off-speed pitch, and that one misses high and away for ball 2. So this is a good prospect here for the Zap. Thomas, not the hardest of throwers, a big change from Josh Nolte, as that one misses off the plate for ball 3.
And there's nowhere you can really hide in this Zap lineup anymore. You're going to have to attack a batter if you're going to get out of this inning if you're Thomas.
So there's the hip shake from Farwell. He's ahead 3-0. We'll see if Habiger gives him the green light. I can't imagine he would. He doesn't, and Farwell takes strike 1 on the inside corner. And, you know, I'm always rooting for Ty Farwell to get a hit. However, it would be awesome to see him walk here and then open the door for Alex Jackson to hit with the bases loaded. Here's the 3-1 pitch. It's ball 4, and we're going to get our wish. Ty Farwell will head down to first base, and with 1 out, bases are loaded for Alex Jackson. If you weren't with us in the pregame, Jackson was surprised by his family, mainly his brother, Zachary Jackson, who came out and threw the first pitch. They were hiding the Jackson family up here in the press box, and he was stunned when he got to see his family. So they're in attendance today, and Alex Jackson, with the bases loaded and 1 out in a scoreless game, has the chance to do something pretty cool here in front of his family. Here's the first pitch from Thomas, and it's taken high for ball 1.
And it might not be the most glorious thing to do, but I'm sure he has grand slam on his mind, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind a walk to score a run here either.
Here's the 1-0. That falls in. A good off-speed pitch there from Thomas. Looked like a curveball from Thomas. Finds the outside corner of the strike zone. Count evened up at 1-1. And Jackson very lively in the box right now. He just looks like he's ready to hit. And he rips one down the right field line, but it tails foul. And he's behind 1-2. See if he can catch up to that fastball. Looks like he might have been sitting that off-speed pitch there. It's usually kind of what happens when a guy sends one off the other way foul. Here's the 1-2 pitch from Thomas. Jackson awaits, and he takes ball 2 high. No, it would not be as glorious as a grand slam, but a walk would mean an RBI. And Alex Jackson, at all costs, could say that he drove in a run with his family in attendance. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That's down low. Great block from Weston Johnston to save a run. Slid off to his left. That ball bounced in front of the plate, and he put his chest protector out in front of it and was able to keep it in front of him. But it'll be a 3-2 pitch with the bases loaded from Thomas. Off the plate for ball 4, and Alex Jackson has driven in via walk the first run of the ball game, and the Zap lead 1-0. Big stomp on the plate with the left cleat from Nick Golden. A couple high fives as he makes his way into the Zap dugout. Bases are still loaded here for Quinn Ludvigsen.
You've seen what he's done this year if the base is loaded.
Well, I mean, we keep saying it. There's nowhere to hide, but it's like every time a good hitter comes up to the plate and either walks or gets a hit, another great hitter steps in. Here's the first pitch to Ludvigsen. He takes strike 1 on the inside corner. A good fastball from Thomas.
And the last time we had that bad weather, he came up with the bases loaded and hit that grand slam, and then just the rain just poured down.
Opened up. Here's the 0-1 to Quinn. That one down low he takes for ball 1. Not much swinging going on right now for the Zap, and I don't blame him. Both Sodbusters pitchers in Thomas and Nolte feel like they have thrown more balls than they have strikes. As this one is lifted into left center field. Underneath it is Hannaford. He'll make the catch. Polizzi's going to tag. The throw coming in is going to be cut off. They're going to throw to third, trying to get Farwell, but it's not in time. Farwell gets in there sliding. It was Christian Loera who cut off the throw. It was actually Brock Cross who cut off the throw and threw it to Christian Loera, who was covering third base, and now they're going to try to throw and step on third and make sure Polizzi tagged. Richard Gilmore's not even looking. And now they'll step on third, and Chris Dozark will say safe. So Vince Polizzi did what he needed to do, tagged up on time, and the Zap with 2 runs here at the bottom of the third have taken the lead 2-0, and they're not done yet. Gavin Frazier will have runners on first and third with 2 outs. And we've said it all season long, but this feels like when the Zap are most dangerous, when they're down to their final out.
I mean, there are some 2-out merchants on this team, man. They take it to another gear when there's 2 away, it feels like.
As Frazier chops that one down the third base line foul. Soft enough for Jamie Habiger to get his hands dirty. He makes a good play on that one. But if anything, Elijah Thomas has done a good job coming into a jam. He has given up 2 runs, but I think the Sodbusters would consider it a success if they were able to get out of a bases-loaded 1-out jam with only giving up 2. Here's the 1-1 to Frazier. That one swung on and missed. Sounded like he might have tipped it, but it was caught by Johnston. The count will be 1-2. Thomas comes set, Jackson at first, Farwell at third, and now Thomas, who's getting pestered by a bouncy Ty Farwell over at third, has to step off and reconvene. He might be getting a little discombobulated over there on the mound with Farwell dancing around. Jackson takes off for second, throw on its way down, and it is going to get him by a mile. Jackson didn't even have time to slide. He was tagged out by a covering second baseman in Drew Vega, and that'll end the bottom of the third. But not before the Zaps score two. They take a 2-0 lead as we head to the top of the fourth inning, but we're going to stay right here as it is time for our Path to the Playoffs. Path to the Playoffs today is sponsored by our great friends at Dunes Golf. Dunes Golf Country Club, quality at public course prices. Go have a great day at the Dunes. We'll talk a little bit more about the Dunes and what they've got coming up. They got a busy schedule here in the upcoming weeks, and we welcome, for the first time on headset, our producer, director extraordinaire, and our playoff master, Eli Lewis. Eli, thanks for joining us here on headset. You know, these playoffs have got us all discombobulated, as you know, Dylan and I like to say, but you have done some work and you've put in the time and the man hours. Tell us, what do the Zap need to do to make that second and final postseason spot?
Yeah, so Justin, right now, as it stands, the Zap are 6-2, which means they're leading the ILB as first place, favorites to win the second half as of right now. Now, these next 6 games, they're almost certainly crucial for the Zap to win. They don't have to play completely perfect, but it's got to be pretty close if they want to open up that breathing room for later to come in the season.
Now, it's pretty self-explanatory. A two-series sweep against Hastings and Casper would be nice, but you feel like with 2 sweeps there is some room on the back end if the Zap were to lose a game here or there to still make their way into the playoffs?
Absolutely, yeah. My personal thoughts on it is if the Zap win this Hastings series and the Casper series both, they're almost certainly in.
Okay, and our path to the playoffs is crucial because it is only a 2-playoff seed, and the first team that wins the first half of the season is in, so the Zap, with these wins, would have to win the second half of the season, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
All right, well, thank you to Eli Lewis. And Eli, you know, we've talked a lot about playing golf, and Dunes Golf is our sponsor for the path to the playoff. Have you been able to break out the sticks and get out on the golf course at all this summer?
I haven't. I actually forgot my clubs at home. After you talking about it for so much, I wish I really would have brought them when we could have golfed together sometime.
Well, we'll make it happen sometime. Thanks to Eli Lewis for our path to the playoffs, sponsored by Dunes Golf. I'll hand it back to Dylan Beach for the top of the 4th inning here at Hyde Stadium.
Glenn misses high for ball 1. We're back underway. Brady Glenn moving oh so efficiently in this ball game. That last offering was his 41st, the 42nd in there for a strike, so the count runs even at 1 apiece.
I don't know about you, but I feel pretty comfortable with my understanding of the path to the playoff now, thanks to Country.
I always feel comfortable when Country is explaining things. The 1-1 from Glenn, that one missing high for ball 2.
I almost want to know if I can get Country to record an audio book that I could listen to while I lay in bed just to soothe me into my sleep at night. Now you folks can understand why we call him Country, too.
2-1 from Glenn, absolutely clobbered into right field, but that one hooking foul. And I might need him to record like a podcast for me to listen to on the way home to Indiana. That's a long drive, man.
What kind of podcast would you like Eli Lewis to what would you like the topic of that to be?
Well, me and my mom listen to a lot of true crime on the drive out, so it might have to be that. The 2-2 from Glenn, sliced foul back the other way.
Country, we know that you're hard at work over there, but do you mind throwing the headset back on for us real quick? We've got a couple more questions that we want to ask you.
2-2 from Glenn, just misses. That one felt like one he was going to get. A groan from the dugout. They didn't like that call.
If there's anybody that's watched as much Zap baseball as Dylan and myself, Eli, you're probably him.
Yeah.
Payoff pitch here from Brady Glenn. Misses for ball 4.
And Glenn is fired up with Dozark, audibly screaming back at him about that 2-strike ball call. But Eli, you know, this team, they're playing some of their best baseball through the season right now. Do you feel like this team is playoff bound?
I would say that they are. I mean, we've seen and they've proven to us that they can win these crucial games. So I absolutely do think that they're absolutely a playoff team.
Glenn coming set after leadoff walk, firing that one, drilled into center. Curiel running back at the warning track, making the catch for the first out of the inning. He was running out of room for a little bit, but making the snag.
And Country, we've talked a lot about this offense and kind of the pitching. Last year, you know it better than anybody else, the struggle was coming out of the bullpen, but we've seen some really good arms coming out of that bullpen in relief. Is there any relief pitchers that have kind of caught your eyes, like that's the guy in a crucial Game 7 in relief that you would want to come in?
Jackson Cornett comes to mind when I think of that.
The 0-0 misses low.
Well, unfortunately, he's not with the team anymore. So
did you ask with the team?
We're gonna need a current pitcher. He can't play a Game 7 for us.
Yeah.
Glenn behind the count 1-0. We'll give you a second to think about it.
Yeah, why don't you make on that? Because there's a lot of great arms to choose from.
1-0, chopped foul down that third base line.
That one made me nervous over there with that bag hanging over the foul line. If it catches that bag, it's still a fair ball. That's going to put Chris Dozark in kind of a conundrum. What about a guy like Wyatt Gladue?
Yeah, I like Wyatt Gladue. I think he could do a good job closing in a playoff game for sure.
Eli Lewis, a big fan of the lefty. As Glenn checks on the runner at first. Cale Jensen back in time. As Glenn, even in the count, 1 apiece. Trying to get out of this leadoff walk. That one swung driven foul towards the river, skipping down the stairs over there.
I feel bad taking Eli away from all of his duties over there. We just get to sit here and watch baseball, but Country's got to keep up with the stats. He's got to keep up with the scoreboard, all the cameras. He works hard up here. Now he can add broadcaster to his extensive resume.
He's the best in the business. The 1-2 from Glenn. The runner goes. That ball drilled towards center once again. Curiel giving chase and making the snag at the warning track. Emiliano Curiel had no more steps he could take, and that was a beaut there to keep the runner over at first and record the second out of the inning.
That one had me nervous coming off the bat. It was traveling. Fortunately for the Zap, it was the deepest part to the ballpark. Plus, you got a speedy guy like Emiliano Curiel out there in center. And Glenn continuing to work efficiently.
That's a couple of close calls there for Glenn on some deep fly balls that just recorded as long outs, as that one evidently missed for ball 1. Brady Glenn, not the happiest with the strike zone as of late. See if he settles back in. That off speed over the plate for strike 1.
Credit Brady Glenn, kind of. I don't know if that missed, that quote unquote missed pitch kind of fired him up, but he has gotten to work quickly after what he thought was strike 3 was called ball 3, and then now he's got that batter standing on first.
Yeah, he's a no-nonsense pitcher. There's not a lot of wasted movement when he gets on the mound. He gets it, gets set, fires over to first once again. He's trying to keep Cale Jensen very honest over there at first.
But again, this is one of those situations where, I know you want to keep him close at first. You don't want to let him get into scoring position, but you've got 2 outs and you got a 1-1 count.
Lang fires to first. A good pick from Ludvigsen to keep that one from sailing into the outfield to Alex Jackson.
But again, we're wondering if we're maybe worried about the wrong things here. With 2 outs, a 2-1 count, I believe that pitch was intentionally on the outside corner, so maybe Lang could fire down and get him at first.
2-1, swung on and missed for strike 2. Strike away from getting out of this inning.
And this is where all your focus shifts onto the hitter at hand. Get out of this jam and let's try to build that lead up in the bottom of the 4th.
Zap lead 2-0. Runner on first, 2 away. The 2-2, the runner goes. Lang won't be able to fire out in time. That would have been a hard play to make. That one ran in on the body of the hitter, Jaden Shabry, and he just couldn't get out of the glove. Still, now a 3-2 count, a strike away from getting out of this one with that lead protected. A couple of different guys up and moving in the bullpen for the Zap. Might get to see even the newest Zap player. I believe that's who's warming up right now. The 3-2 from Glenn. Whoa. That one's broken. Bat single into center field. Curiel going to have to fire to the plate. This one's going to be close, but it pulls Lang up off the bag. So a 2-out single will score a run for the Sodbusters, as on the throw he'll stretch it out to a double.
Yeah, nothing you could do about that if you're Brady Glenn. That pitch was perfectly placed so much that it got Shabry's bat splintered into 2 pieces. And, you know, that might have caught a couple folks off guard, because where that bat flew towards the Sodbuster dugout, I think that's where all eyes went. Looked like it could have been a foul ball, but actually just ended up dropping into shallow center field. And I think Brady Glenn is running a little bit hot right now. We've also seen Mason Lang getting some work done, pouring some water on the eyes. He must have gotten some dirt that popped up when that throw came in and bounced in front of him.
I got a splinter.
Could have very well gotten a splinter. That bat, while it shattered into 2 pieces, I'm sure there was some fragments that came off of it as well. And, you know, I think Brady Glenn, who is getting talked to by Quinn Ludvigson right now, has every right to be a little bit fired up. He's thrown some good pitches, and, you know, that run that just scored could have been a strikeout. And we saw that strike 3 call that ended up being ball 3, end up in a walk that ended up actually scoring there on that last hit. So yeah. Zap still in front, but a little bit of an unfortunate turn of events for the Zap here in the top of the 4th.
Yeah, that's always frustrating, and what's interesting to see is kind of how the pitcher settles back in after that adversity. You don't want to lose your head. Baseball is more mental than physical in a lot of ways, as you don't want to have a meltdown on the mound and start giving away free passes. Just needs one to get out of the inning. That one swung on a miss for strike 1. Jackson Crane, tonight's beer batter, out in front of that one.
That's a good start for a lot of thirsty fans here on a 100-degree day at Hyde Stadium.
Glenn checking on that runner at second, coming set for the 0-1. That one missing off the plate for ball 1. And is it always this hot? I guess you've only had one more summer on me in South Dakota, but is it always this hot in the summertime, Justin?
This one seems seasonally warmer than I remember last year.
1-1 from Glenn. That one swung on a miss. Off speed, tricking Crane there.
And this fan over here, she's going to make her way to the beer cart a little bit ahead of time, try to beat the crowd. I think she foresees on a 1-2 count a strikeout coming to the beer batter.
People are camping the beer cart in excitement. Brady Glenn trying to give the people what they want. That one runs in on the elbow and hits Crane.
Yeah, and that one was a little bit questionable. Crane kind of, and Ludvigson wants to check with Gilmore as well. Crane didn't make any attempt to get out of the way. He almost looked like he moved his elbow into the path of the pitch. And I think Ludvigson was pointing over at the field umpire, Richard Gilmore, because he wanted Mason Lang to check with him to see if maybe Gilmore saw what we saw there. But they'll play on. 2 outs, 2 on. See if Glenn can get out of it.
Yeah, it certainly felt like that elbow was pretty close to being on the plate. Glenn going to have to get out some adversity. That one going to get past Mason Lang, so the runners will advance to second and third. And just like that, a bit of a jam here for Brady Glenn, when there's an argument that he shouldn't even be on the mound right now after a couple of those pitches.
Yeah, you don't want to harp on one call in a game. One ball or strike call is not going to change the outcome of a game, but it certainly has had a big impact on this inning, because you go back and, you know, if that one that we have seen called a strike tonight, but if that one goes the way that Brady Glenn wanted it to, then yes, that hit doesn't bother you at all, because that runner doesn't score. He's not even on the base paths. But if you're the Zap, you got to understand that runs are going to score in this league. It's a lot of good offense in this league, and you're going to have to score runs in tote as well. So something they've done all season long has been able to, get themselves in positions to bring runners across. We saw it there in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Katie Acosta said the race to 7, right? First team to score 7 runs usually ends up winning. And here for Brady Glenn, this is a crucial moment in this game, because, yes, you can live with giving up 1, but what did we said to stay away from all season long? The big innings.
he keeps the ball for now. Cooper Van Lucian warming up, the newest member of the Zap. As Glenn comes set, fires a first pitch strike. Or that, I should say, a second pitch strike. He threw that ball 1 to advance those runners. So the count runs even at 1 apiece. Glenn trying to work himself out of a jam with 2 away. That one swung on a miss for strike 2. Glenn, a bit of a sigh of relief there, but job's not finished, and he certainly knows that. Always moving quickly. You might as well have a South Dakota driver's license at this point. He spent so much time in Pierre over the previous 4 summers. He comes set for the 1-2. Sets, fires that one, fouled just shallowly over the Zap dugout.
And that fan wasn't even looking. He was out playing in the grass with a couple of his buddies, and the ball bounced off the top of the dugout, caught him right on the backside, and he said, hey, there's a free slushy sitting right here.
Glenn, a redo of the 1-2 pitch. Zap crowd joining in the clap from the dugout, trying to will Brady Glenn off the mound. 2 away, the 1-2 pitch. Off speed, runs high for ball 2. Just missing a little high on that one.
Yeah, but a good spot there with a 1-2 count. See if he'll chase it up in the zone. He didn't offer, but now you've got him thinking that spot. Maybe try to go with something a little bit more down in the zone. See if he'll chase.
Count even at 2 apiece. Runners on second and third. Glenn sets, fires. That one lined out in the left. Golden settling in, making the play for the 3rd out of the inning. So the Zap give up 1, but they still hold the lead here 2-1 at Hyde Stadium. We'll be right back for the bottom of the 4th when the Zap bats come back up.
Hey, it's your phone talking. Yeah, your phone. You know, that thing you're constantly picking up and poking around. Listen, when you're behind the wheel, would you please give me a break? You'll have plenty of time for your TikToks and, I don't know, texting your friends after you put it in park. Distracted driving, friend, no joke. One quick text or social media feed can cause a crash, and hey, I don't want any part of that. You got someplace to be, and trust me, I'll enjoy the downtime. Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety and a station.
Dunes Golf is celebrating their 30th anniversary this summer. They look forward to seeing old friends and new acquaintances on the driving range and on the course throughout the summer. Play 9 or 18 holes, pay by the round, save with a punch card, or become a member for unlimited play. Dunes Golf is a great location for group outings or a summer play day. Call 605-223-2525 or see golfdunes.com. Just 1 mile north of Fort Pierre on Highway 1806. Dunes Golf.
Thinking of travel? Pierre Regional Airport offers nonstop flights from Pierre to Denver. From there, you can fly anywhere. Book to your destination and check bags through on United, Delta, or American Airlines. 1-hour flights on 50-passenger jets to Denver, then connecting to your destination. Save travel time and money, avoid the crowds, and free parking when you fly from Pierre Regional Airport. Skip the drive. Fly from Pierre Regional Airport.
Looking for happenings in Central South Dakota? The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce Community Calendar is your go-to for all the latest events. From entertainment to local benefits, community activities, and more, there's something for everyone. Email your event to contactchamber@pierre.org and it will be listed on the weekly calendar. To view the calendar, go to www.pierre.org. Let's celebrate together in the heart of South Dakota. The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce, connecting our community one event at a time.
Push-up contest going on here at Hyde Stadium as the Zap trying to muscle their way to a win here. They lead 2-1. Gavin Frazier leading things off. The 7-8-9 due up for the Zap.
I see what you did there.
You like that one?
You know, the 7-8-9 feels like the 1-2-3.
I mean, it could certainly be. I mean, if you had Emiliano Curiel instead of Lang in the 8 spot, it would feel like the 1-2-3.
Yeah.
Curiel played in that 2-hole a couple of times versus the Bison series. As Gavin Frazier gets things started in the bottom of the 4th. As Thomas comes set and fires, misses for ball 1. And Thomas, a couple of walks for him in his first inning, but did a good job getting out of that jam with just 2 runs allowed as he fires in strike 1.
And right on cue, as I mentioned earlier, well, not right on cue, I said this about 2 innings ago.
As Frazier swings through that one for strike 2.
But we finally got the radar from our team meteorologist, my father, and it looks like we've got about maybe 45 minutes of gameplay.
1-2 to Frazier, misses off the plate for ball 2.
Before these storms make their way into the Pier area. But if you know anything about Pier, they're all bark, no bite.
2-2 driven into the outfield from Gavin Frazier. A leadoff single just past Christian Loera. And a nice start there for the Zap.
Man, that one sounded so clean.
Yeah, that was a perfect for any MLB The Show fans. As Mason Lang steps in, back in a Zap uniform once again. And for anybody who is a big fan last year, would have been very confused seeing him in a Bison uniform the other day at the ballpark. So he was the team MVP a year ago.
They're probably saying, no, what happened to Mason?
What's going on?
Who's running this front office?
Why do we trade him? What do we get back in return?
I want to know who made that move.
He watched ball 1 in there. It was a team MVP last year suiting up for the sister organization. They try to pick off Frazier, but he's back in time standing.
Again, you got to get, not sure how they do it in the ILB, but if you get through 5, the game is marked as official.
That one in there for strike 1 to Lang.
Which, if the Zap could hold this lead, would only need to get through 4.5 innings.
Yeah, we'll try to get any of our rain delay rulings clarified, but that's what our previous understanding was, is Frazier's back in time.
And Elijah Thomas needs to be careful. That is dangerously close to a balk. Those left-handed pitchers have an advantage throwing over to first because they can try to make it look like they're delivering to the plate. But there's
that one clobbered into center field. That one going to get down. Gavin Frazier chugging along, but decides to retreat back. So it's a station-to-station single into left center for Mason Lang.
Back to that point from Elijah Thomas, there's an invisible line that's drawn at a 45-degree angle out in front of the pitcher. If he passes that threshold, that 45-degree line with his lead leg, then he has to deliver to the plate. That last pickoff attempt to Gavin Frazier got dangerously close. The reason they have that is it doesn't give the pitcher too much of an advantage of making it look like he's delivering it home and then throwing over to first. So they draw that invisible line, and if you cross over that and do throw it over to first, it is a balk. So Elijah Thomas has got to be careful of that.
The righty Curiel in the box. Wouldn't be surprised if Frazier runs here. As that one, fastball misses high and inside for ball 1. Third baseman showing some bunt defense as well, so Gavin Frazier could almost certainly be on the move in this at-bat.
Got to be careful, though. Nobody out. You got runners on first and second. Outs are at a premium.
See if he thinks about it as Thomas steps off the bag or the mound.
Thomas is certainly thinking about him. Gavin Frazier being very active over there at second, trying to draw some attention off of Curiel.
The 1-0 to Curiel, swung through and missed for strike 1. Gavin Frazier trying to distract the pitcher, maybe get his teammate a pitch he likes, as there's some more motion heading towards the Sodbuster bullpen. Count even at 1 apiece. That one belted into center field from Curiel. Gavin Frazier going to get the stop sign at third, so it's another station-to-station single, but that loads the bases for Jared Pugrad.
And what a great opportunity for Pugrad. You know, we talked about Alex Jackson's first at-bat where he lined it into left field, hit it really well, but a defender was right there. Jared Pugrad has had that times 10 this season. He has been making great contact with the ball, but time and time again, I mean, we saw it against the Bison. Curtis Lindsey making some all-world plays against Jared Pugrad in center field. Pugrad with an opportunity. He is due to get one of those hard-hit balls to drop. Would love to see one right here for the Zap. And this was what we were talking about in the last inning, or I believe you were talking about earlier on in the game. The Zap would deliver the first punch and then get knocked out. But we might see an opportunity here where the Zap deliver the first punch, they get punched back, and then they get up off the mat and answer after the Hastings Sodbusters put up 1 to answer the Zap's 2 runs in the bottom of the third.
Bases loaded for Jared Pugrad. That one skied foul. See if that one gets out of play. Giving chase. That one skipping off the ground. First baseman Jaden Shabry running into the brick wall over there.
Yeah, and he looks a little bit shaken up. You got to hope Jaden Shabry's all right. He lost his glove. He's shaking out that right hand. That's not a spot you want to run into. No padding over there. And you hate to see that from Jaden Shabry. He is really grasping.
Still holding that arm.
And we heard Weston Johnston, you might have been able to hear it over the crowd mic from that catcher's position, screaming down the first baseline, "You've got room, you've got room." Looked like Shabry kind of let up initially until he heard Johnston let him know that he did have room to run. And we kind of didn't see the contact with the wall over there because it's blocked out by the Zap dugout, but he is really in some writhing pain, and all we can hope for that Shabry is okay. Really exciting player to watch, a good first baseman over for the Sodbusters. Really important piece for this team, and that's the last thing they need right now is an unfortunate injury like that.
And they've been having some fits with the injury bug as of late. It kind of bit them at the worst possible time towards the end of that first half. And Shabry shaking it off a little bit. Some
Hudson Ivy.
Great sportsmanship right there from Hudson Ivy. Give him some water.
I'm not sure how that cup of water is going to help with the right arm getting a little dinged up, but you never know, and that's good by Hudson Ivy for showing some class there. And even better to see Jaden Shabry making his way back to first base, just kind of shaking out that collision with the brick wall.
Love to see a player not go down with an injury. It was a scary moment in which we didn't really have a good angle on. I don't think anyone in the ballpark really did.
Well, Jaden Shabry, not their normal first baseman either, so much so he doesn't even have a first baseman mitt, but the way he plays over there sure makes it feel like he's over there every day.
0-1 here to Pugrad. That one driven, that one taking a weird chop. The third baseman sliding and making the play towards home. He's going to get in there safe. Gavin Frazier, everyone chugging along. Mason Lang comes in to score. Pugrad to second. It was a wild throw to the plate. Brock Cross tried to make it in time, but Weston Johnston couldn't hold on to it. It was above his head, and that'll score 2 for the Zap.
Well, a really nice play by Brock Cross to knock that down. That's the first step of that play, but he had to dive to his left, and with a fast runner coming off a third, his internal clock kind of got sped up. And he kind of got up through from his knees. It was a wild throw, but again, I almost felt really bad for Jared Pugrad hitting another hard-hit ball and another great defensive play, but we'll see how that one gets scored. But Pugrad doing his job, and the Zap now answering back with 2 more runs.
Golden to the plate. That one misses off for ball 1, and Jared Pugrad's batting .300, but with some of the balls he's been hitting, it feels like he'd be batting closer to .500.
Sure does.
So he has been getting robbed often, as that one had a lot of weird spin on it, and that one runs inside and catches Nick Golden.
And now he wants to have a chat with Chris Dozark. I'm not sure if Nick Golden maybe thought there was some intention behind that pitch. The base is open at first, and with nobody out, the Sodbusters definitely benefit from having force outs at every base.
And he did stomp on home plate pretty hard earlier.
He sure did. That is true. So, you know, there's a lot of ingredients there for an intentional hit by pitch. Of course, we're never going to accuse an opposing pitcher of that.
Yeah, that is by no means what we are doing.
Nope, but you want to add one more little ingredient there. That might have been the last pitch for Elijah Thomas for the day. So, new pitcher coming in for the Sodbusters. I thought Elijah Thomas did actually a pretty nice job. He came into a really tight jam there in the bottom of the third when it could have been a huge inning for the Zap. He only allows 2 runs. But I want to go back to that point that you made earlier in this ball game. The Zap, all throughout the beginning parts of this season, have gotten out in front early, and they felt like they've kind of been riding high off of that, and then their opponents would come back, they'd answer with a big inning of their own, and the Zap would not be able to answer back. They have washed that away throughout this month of July and have done so here this afternoon. Bit of an unfortunate run scored for the Sodbusters, I think, with Brady Glenn wanting that strike 3 call, not getting it. and that runner coming in to score on a broken bat single later on in that inning. But how big have the Zap responded here? Nobody out, they had bases loaded. They drive in two off the sharply hit ground ball from Jared Pugrad, and now they've got bases loaded again, still nobody out, and a new pitcher coming onto the bump.
And Vince Palizzi coming to the plate could be a huge inning forming for the Zap. And it was Nick Golden's 16th time being hit this year, a commanding lead in the ILB hit statistic. He's got a 6th spot over the closest to him. I believe it's Michael Baker, the Moo, has been hit 10 times. I think there's one other that's been hit 10 times, but no one's been hit 16 times like Nick Golden.
Well, good for Nick Golden. He'll have something to tell his grandkids about, that he led the ILB in hit by pitches. As now this wind starting to pick up as these storms start to make their way through central South Dakota. As we look at the radar now, it is coming down on us quickly. But,
it's all coming in. It's blowing the rain in. I see it over the parking lot over there.
Well, that's not rain. That's actually dust that's being kicked up that makes it look like rain. But that flag, which has been sitting pretty dead out in right center field all afternoon, is now fully taut with this breeze coming from the right field corner across the ballpark. And Zap again, they will not pick up this game tomorrow. They've already got a doubleheader scheduled with the Sodbusters tomorrow afternoon. Game 1 will get underway around 1 p.m. The second game will follow about an hour after the first game finishes up. If this game does by some chance get postponed in rain delay, it will be picked up in the final 2-game series of the season here at Hyatt Stadium. And again, like we mentioned, that could set up for some dramatic theater. As Vince Palizzi comes up to the plate in a huge spot for the Zap.
It's Braden Cork on the bump. As Palizzi, chance to blow this one wide open. Bases loaded, nobody away, and a tough spot to inherit if you're a relief pitcher. That one in there for strike 1. So a good first offering to settle in against a very dangerous hitter at the plate.
And for those folks watching on the Oahe Zap YouTube and drgnews.com, don't be fooled by that sunlight in the clouds out over left field.
As Palizzi chops that one to third, stepping on the bag, and then over in time to first for a double play, but a run will come across for the Zap.
Yeah, don't be fooled by that sunlight and that good-looking sky ahead. The sky behind us out the back window of our broadcast booth is about as black and blue as Nick Golden is from getting hit by all those pitches. Zap here with 2 outs, still an opportunity with a runner on second to do some more damage. They've scored 3 here in the 4th, but Ty Farwell with a base hit and the runner going on contact could score gold.
Not the result Vince Palizzi wanted, but will still score a run across as Farwell watches strike 1 inside. It's starting to look like storms here in Pierce, South Dakota. We've seen them break up, but we've seen them form just as quickly this season as the Zap trying to spark before the clouds do. They lead 5-1 here in the bottom of the 4th. 2 away. Farwell drills that one into right. We'll see if it gets down, and it will. That one in there fair. Golden coming around to score. Farwell in at second standing. A 2-out double, and Nick Golden loves it.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one he stomped on home plate harder with, that run that he scored in the 3rd inning or that one he scored right there, but he sure was pumped, especially after seeing one of his own get beamed.
Yeah, Nick Golden ran in and then kind of ran off like Johnny Sparrow, or Captain Sparrow.
Jack
Johnny
Sparrow.
Depp. Yeah, Johnny Depp, Jack Sparrow. So Alex Jackson steps in with a chance to do the same thing Ty Farwell just did, as we're getting some dirt blowing around. The wind is going wild here as that fastball in there for strike 1. I don't think I've seen wind this crazy. The flag looks like it's about to leave and go to Fort Pierre.
We had a windstorm last summer that brought about 90-mile-an-hour winds.
The 1-0 chop back to the pitcher. Cork making an impressive play there. That one probably saved some runs if that would have got up the middle. Farwell was running on contact, but it's a 4-run frame for the Oahe Zap. They lead 6-1. We'll see if we'll be back for the 5th or not. We might blow away, folks, but we'll catch it all here on River 92.7 and the Oahe Zap YouTube.
Hey, it's your phone talking. Yeah, your phone. You know, that thing you're constantly picking up and poking around. Listen, when you're behind the wheel, would you please give me a break? You'll have plenty of time for your TikToks and, I don't know, texting your friends after you put it in park. Distracted driving, friend. No joke. One quick text or social media feed can cause a crash. And hey, I don't want any part of that. You got someplace to be. And trust me, I'll enjoy it at downtime. Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety and its station.
Dunes Golf is celebrating their 30th anniversary this summer. They look forward to seeing old friends and new acquaintances on the driving range and on the course throughout the summer. Play 9 or 18 holes. Pay by the round. Save with a punch card or become a member for unlimited play. Dunes Golf is a great location for group outings or a summer play day. Call 605-223-2525 or see golfdunes.com. Just 1 mile north of Fort Pierre on Highway 1806. Dunes Golf.
Thinking of travel? Pierre Regional Airport offers nonstop flights from Pierre to Denver. From there, you can fly anywhere. Book to your destination and check bags through on United, Delta, or American Airlines. 1-hour flights on 50-passenger jets to Denver, then connecting to your destination. Save travel time and money, avoid the crowds, and free parking when you fly from Pierre Regional Airport. Skip the drive. Fly from Pierre Regional Airport.
Looking for happenings in Central South Dakota? The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce Community Calendar is your go-to for all the latest events, from entertainment to local benefits, community activities, and more.
Check out the Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce and check out the newest Zap member on the mound. Cooper Van Lucian makes his Zap debut as his first pitch is a good start in there with a strong fastball for strike one. I already like the look of this young man. Tall and stout right-hander with a lively fastball. And the 0-1, quickly 0-2 as Drew Vega swings and misses. Not only does he have a lively fastball, he's got a devastating off-speed pitch.
Got to say, he pulled the string on that one. That one looked pretty.
Wind gusting and picking up here at Hyde Stadium. The 0-2 to Vega is off the end of the bat, and what a play made by Devin Scope. Certainly saved a pair of teeth there in the Zap dugout, stuck his left paw out there and just snagged it. And even the train conductor got a good view at that one. I think Skelton might go back and watch that one back on the replays. A Baltimore chop sent up the middle. Pugrad coming over, cut off by Frazier, firing on the move and not able to get the speedy Drew Vega. That was going to be a tough play to make for anybody. I'm just glad to see Jared Pugrad and Gavin Frazier still standing. They looked like two heat-seeking missiles directly headed at each other.
Yeah, that one was just about going to be impossible. That was about, I think, as high of a Baltimore chop as we've seen all season long.
I mean, that one got up into the lights. That was so high off the first bounce. That'll send us back to the top of the lineup in short step. Christian Loera will step into the batter's box. Zap leading 6-1 after 2 very big innings. They scored 2 in the bottom of the third, brought 4 across there in the bottom of the fourth. As the weather certainly changed here on a dime. There was no breeze to speak of through the first 3 innings. As that one's in there for strike one. Good off-speed pitch from Van Lucian.
And it's about the opposite of what we saw on July 4th, where it was ugly to start and then it got pretty. It was gorgeous to start this game, and it has gotten ugly fast.
Bad skies behind us. I think those storms are imminent. As the 1-1, they're going to check on the runner. Vega was almost taken off for second, but he put his foot in the ground and dove back to first. So he's back safely. Van Lucian with the 1-1. That one popped up towards the middle of the infield. Gavin Frazier going to step underneath and make the catch. There's out number 1. And boy, you want to talk about a good arm coming in at the right time. That is Cooper Van Lucian.
Yeah, you exit one fireballer in Jackson Cornett, and maybe a bit of comfort there for Eli Lewis as they took away his favorite player.
Well, I think he might have a new favorite player, Cooper Van Lucian, if he keeps throwing like this. Brady Alexander will come up to the plate. His first pitch is off the end of the bat. Scuttles its way towards the first base side.
I will say he might have already thrown more off-speed pitches than we saw Jackson Cornett offer all of this season.
Cornett loved the fastball, didn't he?
And when he could throw it about as hard as he could, I think you got to ride that.
Cornett surely favored fastball. Cooper Van Lucian ahead 0-1 here to Alexander. Quick fire over to first base. Drew Vega is going to need to see the cleaners after today's game. He's diving back to first consistently. And another dive back to first. This play was close. He's again back safely. The wind has shifted. It's now blowing out towards center field. We saw a ball hit to Emiliano Curiel earlier in this game. That if the Sodbusters had this wind right now, that one surely would have been gone. Might have even hit the passing train. That wind is blowing so hard. The 1-1 from Van Lucian. There goes Vega. Throw down to second base is high. And what a play by Jared Pugrad to cut that one off from getting into center field. The runner is safe, but he almost certainly would have been at third had it not been for Jared Pugrad. And he looks like a wide receiver running over the middle of the, in between the hash marks right there, making a one-handed grab.
The pitch was a strike, so one away from getting the second here for Van Lucian.
Thank you, Dylan. 1-2 is the count. And Van Lucian will step off as this wind continues to pick up here at Hyde Stadium. Mason Lang going to go have a chat with Cooper Van Lucian.
Feels like we're going to have like a swarm of like locusts or like a plague coming in. I mean, this is just nasty weather.
I was mentioning we had a windstorm earlier last summer, I would say, when it blew so hard, gusts topped out to over triple digits, so much so that the Days Inn sign set up on two metal girders got bent over on its side. 1-2, chopped up the middle, going to be an easy play for Pugrad. He fires to first, and that is in time. Quinn Ludvigsen with a nice pick. As Brady Alexander was one step away from beating that out.
I say that almost became an announcer jinx. It looked like it was going to be an easy play, but Alexander was very fast on that one.
I almost stepped on my own play-by-play instructions there from letting the play develop. But I trust Pugrad so much, I just knew.
He showed off that cannon last game. It was pretty impressive.
An off-speed pitch starts Cale Jensen with a strike. Van Lucian ahead 0-1. And another one pulled the string for strike two. He has got outstanding command of his pitches right now.
I think Zap fans are going to like this guy. Hot take.
Here's the 0-2 from Van Lucian on the outside of the zone for ball one.
He's just trying to get that first strikeout now, man.
Well,
One he'll never forget.
We heard Bob Habiger talk about the arms needed as this off-speed pitch is lifted down the third base line, giving chase as Farwell loses the ball cap but doesn't lose the ball. He gets the third out of the inning, and Cooper Van Lucian with an outstanding start to his Zap career retires the side, leaving one stranded. We head to the bottom of the fifth inning. Zap leads 6-1 here at Hyde Stadium.
The summer is here, and you know what that means. The Oahe Zap are back, and we at DRG Media Group are bringing you coverage of every Zap home game all summer long. You can hear all the home Zap games on River 92.7, or you can watch them live on drgnews.com at the River 92.7 station page. The Zap are offering you fans something new every single night. So get out to Hyde Stadium for some Zap baseball this summer. Purchase your tickets on oahezap.com or buy them at the box office. If you can't make it to the game, we've got you covered on River 92.7 Oahe Zap Baseball, brought to you by DRG Media Group.
So the ILB rules might be a little bit different, and we don't have an ILB rule book, so we're going to go off of the MLB's rules. Now, don't take these for certain. This is just what the MLB plays by. A game delayed by rain, but has reached a point where the outcome will stand, which is typically after 5 innings or 4.5 innings, which is the case here for the Zap, the home team. And the game is called due to rain and will be considered official. It is considered a rain out and will be replayed or resumed later if it is before 5 innings, but we have reached that point of an official game if the Zap were playing in the MLB, but they're playing in the ILB, so we don't know the rules because they didn't give us a rule book.
And I'm going to go check out the college baseball rule book because I think that's maybe more akin to what we follow, but then again, I think we're all just playing a guessing game right now until it's official.
Well, if you're unfamiliar with Hyde Stadium, it backs right up to the Capitol building, which has a gorgeous pond out in the front yard, and that pond is not large, but it is large enough to have some white caps on it. That is how hard the wind is blowing. It's even starting some dust tornadoes. Yeah, you could probably catch a boogie board and go ride a couple of those white caps. As the clouds behind us that are slowly creeping their way over Hyde Stadium turn darker and darker by the pitch. Quinn Ludvigsen will lead it off for the Zap here at the bottom of the 5th inning, and he'll take a ball down and in. Dustin really getting into some of the eyes of these Sodbuster middle infielders. That one is called a strike on the inside corner. Braden Cork still on the mound here for the Sodbusters. Here's the 1-1 to Ludvigsen off the end of the bat. He rifles it into the screen, foul. And Brooks Cartwright, one of the interns over there, having a grand old time with some of the younger fans, getting rid of some of those extra water balloons that were sitting around. Ludvigsen rips this one down the right field line, down for a base hit. So another leadoff runner reaches for the Oahe Zap. They've had leadoff runners reach in 4 of their 5 innings, including right here. 2 of those innings it was walks, 2 of those innings it was base hits. And that'll bring up Gavin Frazier. Just to, we keep harping on the wind, but there's a bag that is continuing to be lifted out way past right field into the sky. Looks like it's a bird flying around out there. It's got to be a couple hundred feet up into the air. This wind swirling and just kind of carrying that Walmart bag over to Fort Pierre, over the rolling hills, and making its way to Presho. First pitch to Frazier, swung on and missed for strike 1. As Cork uncorks a fastball. You've been doing them all day. I figured I'd get in on the fun there, Dylan.
That one was good. Big fan of that one.
Here's the 0-1 from Cork, swung on and missed, strike 2. Cork with a long look in now, peeks over at Ludvigsen. The 0-2 pitch off the plate for ball 1.
This wind is crazy. Our producer Eli Lewis pointing out that the light poles are shaking and even the grandstand is shaking.
Yeah, the fencing that reads "Welcome to Hyde Stadium" is, well, looking like it's in cursive right now. As it wobbles back and forth, the 1-2 misses high, ball 2, runs the count even. Bottom of the 5th inning here at Hyde Stadium in a crucially important game for the Zap and their playoff push as Gavin Frazier will go down swinging at strike 3. Well, he left everything out there on that swing, but he goes down for the first out of the inning. Zap leading 6-1 here. They've scored 6 runs on 7 hits. The Sodbusters with 3 hits and 1 run. Sodbusters with the only error today came on that throw home from third baseman Brock Cross, trying to get a scoring Zap runner. That one in the chest plate, and a stealing Ludvigsen is going to slide in safely to second. I'll tell you what, for Weston Johnston, that play was a lot closer than most catchers could make it look. That ball bounced off his chest plate. It was a pitch in the dirt. He went around the back of Mason Lang to get to that loose ball, taking the circuitous route to get to it, and still fired it down in second to make it a bang-bang play. But Ludvigsen is safe, and now he's in scoring position for Mason Lang. The 1-0 in there for strike 1, a good off-speed pitch.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of them get behind the backstop, but I don't think we've seen one catch off the catcher and then about go back into the grass of the infield like that.
Braden Cork takes his time getting the pitches from his catcher, Weston Johnston. He's got it now. The 1-1 in the dirt, ball 2. Another good stop by Johnston. We really haven't seen many balls get by this Sodbusters catcher. Just a really solid team all the way around. And it kind of gives you some insight into the team as good as the Zap. Now, they haven't been able to notch a win against the Sodbusters yet this year. Here's the 2-1 to Lang. Big swing, but chops one foul.
You could just hear that wind. I mean, it is just crazy here at the ballpark. I haven't seen anything like this since I've been to South Dakota, and we've had some pretty crazy wind days.
Yeah, I know a couple people that sure do like the storms. They were really looking forward to this one and its possibility tonight, but have been let down by all the possibilities as this one is skied a mile into the air. The wind is going to work some tricks on that one. Cork having a tough time, can't make the play, and a fire to first is in time, and now a throw down to third, and the tagging Ludvigsen is in there safely. And I'm not sure how Mason Lang didn't make it there on time, unless he just wasn't running out of the box, because that ball stood up in the air for what seemed like a millennium. Gavin Frazier might have been on second base.
And it blew back into play. He might not have left the box. He probably thought that was just going to be a foul ball.
Well, there's a lesson, kids, while you run everything out. That one started in foul ground, but the wind pushing out towards right center field moved that ball back into play, made it tough for Cork to really get a feel and a read on it. But a heads-up play by Braden Cork. He saw the ball drop behind him, but had the presence of mind to fire it down to first base and get Mason Lang in time. So now there's 2 outs for the Zap, and Emiliano Curiel will foul off the first pitch back behind him.
This is some very nasty weather, and I would not hold it against anybody if they left early, but I mean, they're staying put here at Hyde Stadium.
Ludvigsen at third, Curiel with 2 outs. Wanted to add a little bit more insurance here for the Zap. That one misses high for ball 1. Cork back into the windup. That one lifted, fouled on the right field side, and that'll work the count to 1-2. Folks, you can still get that great Bison merch for sale here at the Zap Stadium and Hyde Stadium. I'm getting some shakes of the head no from my broadcast team here as the pitch misses outside. And now we've lost the beer cooler. One of the trash cans along with the beer cooler have tipped sideways. And there's free beer rolling around Hyde Stadium. And no, we did not have a strikeout of the beer batter. As this pitch misses high to Curiel, runs the count full. They tried to pick off Ludvigsen on that last pitch. We wanted to announce it, but we were so taken aback by the beer cooler getting thrown down. And are you sure that's not a Bison cap sitting on that rack right there?
It is, but I swear we took those off the rack earlier. I don't know how they got put back.
3-2 is bounced back to Cork. He's going to field it, toss it underhanded to first to retire the side. No runs scored by the Zap here at the bottom of the 5th inning. We head to the top of the 6th. The Zap leads 6-1 here at Hyde Stadium.
Looking for happenings in Central South Dakota? The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce Community Calendar is your go-to for all the latest events. From entertainment to local benefits, community activities, and more, there's something for everyone. Email your event to contactchamber@pierre.org and it will be listed on the weekly calendar. To view the calendar, go to www.pierre.org. Let's celebrate together in the heart of South Dakota. The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce, connecting our community one event at a time.
Doing a little spring cleaning at your house? I'm Val Keller, City of Pierre's Solid Waste Manager, letting you know the City Supply Swap program can help. We'll recycle cleaning supplies, paint, and other household chemicals you don't want anymore. Plus, you're free to take any products other people dropped off for recycling. The swap program helps our customers and keeps things out of our landfill. Supplies we accept include stains and sealers, pesticides, pool chemicals, typical cleaning agents, as well as oil-based paint, latex paint, and spray paint. For additional information, call 605-773 773-7434. Again, that's 773-7434 for more information about recycling your household supplies and paint. Let the City of Pierre help you get your home and garage cleared out and cleaned up for the summer months.
This public service message is brought to you by the radio stations of the DRG Media Group in Pierre.
Drops are forming as the fans head to the grandstand. Van Lucian trying to take the mound, keep his debut going. Still waiting for his first Zap strikeout. He got close a couple of times, but got outs via the flyout. As we see the money ball toss, we had a couple of good attempts there.
Yeah, some more Pierre Wildcat athletes. If anybody's going to get it, it's going to be them because they're at every single game, so they know
the strat.
The physics and the trajectory and the strat, a.k.a. the strategy, I believe. That's a young 21-year-old lingo maybe I'm not familiar with yet. But Cooper Van Lucian going to get back to work, see if he can continue his great work in his first outing as an Oahe Zap.
The newest member of the team. That one off the plate for ball one. He's out of Dickinson State. College teammates of Ty Farwell. One of the coaches earlier said, so you have to put up with Ty full-time, and he laughed it off as he fires off speed, swung on and missed for strike one.
I'm sure there's a lot of other guys in this Zap lineup that are tougher to deal with than Ty Farwell.
Yeah, I think I'd take that action, too. I'd bet there are some harder to deal with. The 1-1 drilled towards right. Giving chase is Jackson diving, but he can't keep it in the glove. That one going to get down. Curiel trying to fire back into play. But he'll be in there at second. Johnston and Alex Jackson slow to get up after that one.
Man, he made a great attempt at that. I thought with the way that he was tracking that ball and that dive that he was going to be able to make the grab. He's a sure-handed player wherever he plays in the outfield.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough play to make. But all in all, you know, he knocked it down. If that ball gets past him and he doesn't knock it down for Curiel to get to it, you could probably see that runner at third.
And Jackson spends so much time at left, and it is a different ball game shifting over to right. He's playing that one to a different angle than he would typically, as that one runs inside, catches the batter. I don't think he wanted it. He'll get it.
Well, maybe he might be thinking that that could have possibly been payback or whatever from the earlier hit batsman to maybe get force outs. But again, none of that happens in this league.
That one didn't seem like it really hit him all too hard either. It kind of brushed along his legs. That's why I was kind of shocked at it first being called. Van Lucian coming set. That one sky high. Ludvigsen was playing bunt defense. They're chasing, and that one's going to get down fair. Jackson going to have to fire it back in. They're giving the runner the go-ahead from third, but he'll put on a late stop sign, so it's bases loaded, nobody away. An unfortunate situation there for the Zap.
Well, that runner from third was getting the go-ahead signal. He was being waved home. I think he wisely hit the brakes and ignored his coach because it looked like with a great throw coming out of that right field area that he might have been gunned down.
It certainly looked that way, and Ludvigsen was playing up defensively, and Gavin Frazier was trying to run out there, and it took a bit of a weird bounce off his glove, but Jackson was covering it and able to keep it close. And we've seen the arm of Alex Jackson before this season. He's got a cannon out in the outfield. That would have certainly been a close play, but a huge jam here for Van Lucian to navigate on his first day in an Oahe Zap uniform.
And again, this kind of goes back to what we've said all season. With the insurance that the Zap have built up, you're okay with giving up a couple runs here, but you want to avoid the huge inning. I think getting out of this still up by 3 runs would be considered a success. Bases loaded and no outs, leading 6-1.
Love a double play. Love a strikeout. Love an out in general, as that one fouled off the first base line for strike one. As I think I just might have saw some lightning off in the horizon.
Well, in previous, don't count on these umpires to see lightning.
The 0-1, that one chopped towards Farwell. playing it at the plate, gets the first out, over to first in time for a double play.
That crystal ball's working well for you, Dylan Beach.
It looked like Ty Farwell, if he would have been a little closer to the bag, he might have been able to have 3 there, but
don't get greedy.
I think you'll take the 2 every day of the week there. A big play for Ty Farwell, turning it to Lang, then first. It's a 6-2-3 or a 5-2-3 double play.
But also give Cooper Van Lucian some credit for getting that ground ball to start.
That's an art. Get those ground balls for the double play. Is that off speed in there for strike 1? That's one of my favorite baseball players just in history. Seth Manis was a Cardinals reliever who could just get a ground ball no matter what. He was a double play machine, and Van Lucian getting one there big for the Zap as that one skips in. A good block from Lang to keep the runners put.
Indeed, and that's another run-saving play by Mason Lang. Did an outstanding job turning that double play from Ty Farwell. A great block there.
Saw the Zap try to do that one other time this season. The 1-1 runs inside for ball 2. Zap tried to turn a double play at home out in Casper, and on the throw up the line, throw went errant and hit the runner. So the Zap couldn't get the double play and ended up scoring a few runs. But that one was just about as perfect as it could be. Van Lucian coming set, the 2-1. Runners on second and third. That one going to get up the middle. Emiliano Curiel is going to have to fire into the home. That one cut off by Ludvigsen. 2 runs will score. So a 2-out single will get this lead down to 3 for the Sodbusters.
And again, kind of going back, you think you're okay with that if you're Jamie Habiger with the way that this jam has been. We've seen situations like this for the Zap turn into 7- and 8-run innings. So I think if you are able to get out of this only allowing the 2 runs and still leading by 3, I think you'll take that.
It feels a month ago that might have been a couple of walks for the Zap, and then the walk in, a couple of runs, and then a big hit, clears the bases. Van Lucian checks on the runner.
Well, when we had Bob Habiger up on the broadcast last week with the Bison, he told us a huge point of focus this offseason was relief pitchers.
Might have found one here in Van Lucian. That one drilled into center field. Curiel sizing and settling under it for the 3rd out of the inning. A little bit of damage done for the Hastings Sodbusters. It's a 2-run 6th, but the Zap still leads 6-3. We'll be right back here on River 92.7 and the Oahe Zap YouTube.
Hey, it's your phone talking. Yeah, your phone. You know, that thing you're constantly picking up and poking around. Listen, when you're behind the wheel, would you please give me a break? You'll have plenty of time for your TikToks and, I don't know, texting your friends after you put it in park. Distracted driving, friend. No joke. One quick text or social media feed can cause a crash. And hey, I don't want any part of that. You got someplace to be. And trust me, I'll enjoy the downtime. Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety and its station.
Dunes Golf is celebrating their 30th anniversary this summer. They look forward to seeing old friends and new acquaintances on the driving range and on the course throughout the summer. Play 9 or 18 holes, pay by the round, save with a punch card, or become a member for unlimited play. Dunes Golf is a great location for group outings or a summer play day. Call 605-223-2525 or see golfdunes.com. Just 1 mile north of Fort Pierre on Highway 1806. Dunes Golf.
Thinking of travel, Pierre Regional Airport offers nonstop flights from Pierre to Denver. From there, you can fly anywhere. Book to your destination and check bags through on United, Delta, or American Airlines. 1-hour flights on 50-passenger jets to Denver, then connecting to your destination. Save travel time and money, avoid the crowds, and free parking when you fly from Pierre Regional Airport. Skip the drive. Fly from Pierre Regional Airport.
Looking for happenings in Central South Dakota? The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce Community Calendar is your go-to for all the latest events. From entertainment to local benefits, community activities, and more, there's something for everyone. Email your event to contactchamber@pierre.org and it will be listed on the weekly calendar. To view the calendar, go to www.pierre.org. Let's celebrate together in the heart of South Dakota. The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce, connecting our community one event at a time.
1, 2, 3, do it for the Oahe Zap. They lead 6-3. Pugrad thought about offering that one in there for strike one, and Pugrad giving a look back at Chris Dozark. He wasn't a big fan of that one.
I think he wanted to know where that one caught the zone. But again, I think you're right.
That one runs inside for ball one.
Probably not a big fan.
Pugrad trying to get some more insurance here for the Zap. Hastings got two across in the last frame. Pugrad swing out in front of that one for strike two. The Zap, a 4-run fourth, giving them some much-needed insurance. A 3-run lead here at Hyde Stadium. The 1-2 to Pugrad. That one looked close, but in there for ball two.
And sometimes when you check with the umpire, you can get a good call later in the at-bat.
2-2 to Pugrad. Swung on and missed in the dirt. As Say dropped it, the throw up the line in time to Jaden Shabry. So Pugrad goes down for the first out of the inning. Nick Golden now to the plate. Has been an on-base machine. Has a really impressive batting average. And he walks quite a bit too, but he also walks via getting hit by a pitch. An incredible league-leading amount. As he steps in to try to get this rally going for the Zap. Watches. First pitch strike. Chris Dozark kind of thought about pulling that one back. I think he did. He was thinking about calling it a strike, and then I think he pulled it back for a ball, so faking me out up here. A 1-0 to Golden, swung through and missed for strike one.
The only reason I knew that was a ball was by Weston Johnston's reaction. He wanted to throw it back to his pitcher, but kind of had that moment of hesitation.
That one sent into center field by Golden. Settling under it, making the play is Brady Alexander. So a well-struck ball there from Golden, but one big issue is it was just right on the line to the center fielder.
You want some insurance, this could be your guy with Vince Polizzi and a favorable wind blowing out exactly where he would want it to be, out towards that left center field part of the ballpark.
2 away. Polizzi chopping that one on the first pitch, running it out, but he won't be there in time. Brock Cross fires across the diamond. A quick inning there for Cork. Keeps the deficit where it is. 6-3. We'll be right back here for the 7th inning stretch.
Thinking of travel? Pier Regional Airport offers non-stop flights to Denver. Starting August 1st, book your destination at United.com. With United Mileage Plus, you can save more by earning miles when you fly from Pier Regional Airport. 1-hour flights to Denver and the world beyond. Avoid the crowds, avoid the drive, and enjoy free parking when you fly from Pier Regional Airport. United Airlines in Pier starting August 1st. Skip the drive. Fly from Pier.
We're good at making excuses for things we don't want to do.
I can't work late because my cat has a job interview.
Unfortunately, we're also good at making excuses for things we shouldn't do, like driving drunk.
There's nothing on the back roads but cows.
The truth is, there's no good reason to drink and drive. Not even if you stick to the back roads. If you drink, don't drive. No excuses. Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety, South Dakota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
If you're interested in becoming a valued sponsor of an Oahe Zap broadcast, you can contact us for more information at sports@dakotaradiogroup.com or call us at 605-224-8686.
Hey, Zap. Top of the 7th inning here as we've got a new pitcher on the bump for the Zap. It's friend of the broadcast, Wyatt Gladue, the lefty. Out on the mound, hurling a couple warm-up pitches. Zap in front 6-3 as we are kind of towing the line with this weather. We really don't know what it's going to do. And welcome to South Dakota, folks. As Gladue will come in relief of Connor Van Lucien, who had a nice outing for the Zap. He was in a bases-loaded jam with nobody out, but he got a ground ball to third. Ty Farwell was able to fire it home. For one, Mason Lang threw it down to first base to complete the double play. Sodbusters would score 2 on a base hit with 2 outs, but that was all the damage done in the top of the 6th. Then we head to the top of the 7th. Wyatt Gladue trying to keep this thing right where it's at for the Zap. He will face off with the shortstop, Christian Loera, for the Sodbusters. Gladew's first pitch is down low for ball 1. Gladue, a guy that works so quickly. Likes to get into a rhythm and really never wants to get out of it. Here's the 1-0. Outside for ball 2. That was a good-looking pitch.
And I'm sure Gladue would love to get the 1-2-3 down as quickly as Hastings got the Zap 1-2-3 retired.
It was a quick bottom of the 6th, and that'll help the cause. Strike 1. In there with a good fastball. Gladue is not a sidearm thrower, but he delivers with a lower arm slot, so it kind of makes it look that way, but he does get some extra movement on his pitches out of that release. As this one's lined into right field, Jackson drew back, but now coming in forward, and he plays that one perfectly to retire Christian Loera. As Sodbusters will have 1, 2, 3 up in this inning. 1 is down. Here comes number 2 in Brady Alexander. So Gladue gets his first out via fly ball out to Alex Jackson in right field. See if he can get Alexander equally as quickly. He gets a swinging strike to start off the at-bat. Gladue back and ready to go. Here's the 0-1. 0-2, another good off-speed pitch from Wyatt Gladue. He's ahead 0-2. So we saw some fans heading for the exits after that beer cart tipped over with the wind. As that one shot towards second base. What a sliding grab by Frazier. He throws to first, but it's off the bag and not in time. Still a great play there by Gavin Frazier to knock down the shot up the middle. It'll count as a base hit for Brady Alexander.
Yeah, and I'm not sure there's been too many routine balls to either second or shortstop here today.
Those two guys in the middle infield between Pugrad and Gavin Frazier have been making some outstanding plays. A little bit of electricity out past the Avera building, way off in the distance. As Gladue starts off Cale Jensen with a strike. Good fastball on the outside corner.
With how fast Alexander is, I wouldn't be surprised to see some motion out of him here.
He sure showed off his speed, legging out that base hit on his at bat. That one's fouled off the end of the bat, and Gladue is quickly ahead 0-2. We got to mention a good piece of hitting there for Brady Alexander, who got behind 0-2 in his own at bat. And was able to reach for that base hit that was knocked down by Frazier. See if Gladue could get a different outcome here from Cale Jensen. 0-2 is driven into right field. Oncoming Alex Jackson. That's going to drop in front of him. He may have a play at second base. He fires to a covering Pugrad. And Brady Alexander had to wait to see if Jackson was going to be able to make that catch. Got stuck in between first and second. So that might be the most unique 9-6 putout you'll ever see.
I don't know how many 9-6 putouts you do see.
Not many. They're all unique. Is kind of the point of that. Heads up play there by Alex Jackson.
He has got a cannon on him.
Yeah, and Brady Alexander, kind of a lose-lose situation there. As Weston Johnston will come up with 2 outs and a very, very, very late timeout awarded by Chris Dozart. Gladue was about to release that pitch when Dozart called time. You rarely see a 9-6 putout. You rarely see timeouts awarded that late in the process of the pitch. So now the first pitch will miss low for ball 1.
I don't know how he held up on that pitch in the first place. He was about all the way through his motion.
I'm not sure how Chris Dozart called timeout. I mean, that was as late as they get. Pitch from Gladue in there for strike 1. Good fastball catches the outside corner. We're keeping an eye on Richard Gilmore. He's kind of surveying the skies around us, possibly looking for some electricity. There's plenty of it happening, but it's all a little bit too far to affect as this one misses outside, and Mason Lang letting Gladue know that Chris Dozark is not awarding those strike calls. 2-1 count here for Wyatt Gladue to Weston Johnston. 2 outs, runner on first, 6-3 lead for the Zap. Runner goes, that one line to Pugrad, and he gloves it on the fly. So a nice piece of work there from Wyatt Gladue. We head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Zap still in front, 6-3 here at Hyde Stadium.
Hey, it's your phone talking. Yeah, your phone. You know, that thing you're constantly picking up and poking around. Listen, when you're behind the wheel, would you please give me a break? You'll have plenty of time for your TikToks and, I don't know, texting your friends after you put it in park. Distracted driving, friend. No joke. One quick text or social media feed can cause a crash. And hey, I don't want any part of that. You got someplace to be. And trust me, I'll enjoy the downtime. Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety and its station.
Dunes Golf is celebrating their 30th anniversary this summer. They look forward to seeing old friends and new acquaintances on the driving range and on the course throughout the summer. Play 9 or 18 holes, pay by the round, save with a punch card, or become a member for unlimited play. Dunes Golf is a great location for group outings or a summer play day. Call 605-223-2525 or see golfdunes.com. Just 1 mile north of Fort Pierre on Highway 1806. Dunes Golf.
Welcome back here to Hyde Stadium. We thought we might be heading to the bottom of the 7th inning, but lightning in the area has been seen by the not by the umpires, but actually by our Avera medical staff, as they have notified. And well, the Sodbusters are halfway on the field and halfway off, so there is weather in the area. And now, after a long conversation between Josh Printer, Jamie Habiger, Chris Dozark, and Richard Gilmore, we are currently paused for the moment. Zap are in front 6-3. We'll get on the horn with GM Alex Sheets, who is headed down to talk with the coaching staff. But quickly, while we've got the time, we'll recap this game for you. It was scoreless until we headed to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Zap scored 2 runs. The Hastings Sodbusters answered back in the top of the 4th inning with 1 run to cut it to a 1-run ball game, but the Zap opened up and scored 4 in the bottom of the 4th inning. Sodbusters would answer with 2 more, but it could have been a lot more in the top of the 6th inning as they had bases loaded with nobody out. And a nice double play turn by Ty Farwell to Mason Lang, up to first to Quinn Ludvigsen. And Sodbusters would go on to score 2 more runs in that inning. However, that's what the Zap kept them at. And that's where we stand right now, as we have hit a lightning delay in the bottom of the 7th inning. So the Zap players are gathering all their belongings. They're headed for cover. A lot of fans sticking around here at Hyde Stadium. We'll figure out what we're going to do from here. We don't really know. Dylan has left the broadcast booth to go catch Richard Gilmore on his way up to the umpire's room. As we looked at the radar, that storm was kind of flirting with us here in central South Dakota. Of course, as it always goes in Pierre, that storm is looking menacing as it heads towards the Pierre area, then hits the bridge between Pierre and Fort Pierre and just seemingly breaks up. And I've got a broadcaster in Dylan Beach with a long look on his face as he heads back towards the headset. And I believe we're in a lightning delay, so we're just going to stay put, it seems, until, well, we figure out what's going on. Dylan, do you have an update for us?
Yeah, I just talked to Chris Dozark, said it's going to be a lightning delay. And
30 minutes, I believe.
30 minutes from every strike, so if we get another one, it's going to keep resetting.
So what we'll do is we will head back to the live board, let you listen to some music here. We are in a lightning delay currently, but as we move along, we'll provide updates for you. So we'll step off here, and we will get you some music here on River 92.7. Stay put, though. Don't touch that dial, as we'll keep you updated as this lightning delay goes on. Currently, the way it looks, it does not look good. If some rain moves through, there is rain off in the area out in center field as we see the rainbow forming out above the Avera Medical Building. But we'll keep you updated as if the rain does move through. There's really nothing we could do about that. Rain will certainly either postpone or rule this game official at the end. But we'll keep you posted on this lightning delay as it goes. The Zap leads 6-3 here in a paused game in the bottom of the 7th. It's the 8:30 hour. No telling when or if we'll be back, but stay tuned on River 92.7 for updates. We'll be back, hopefully, after this lightning delay here on River 92.7. So the skies have not cleared, but the umpires have given it a go, and we are back to baseball. Hello, everybody. Justin Cowart alongside Dylan Beach, welcoming you back to Hyde Stadium after a short lightning break. Ty Farwell will step into the batter's box. He swings and misses at strike one, and, well, it's still off of the area, but we're going to play some ball.
And what I was hearing is that if it's not a lightning strike within a 10-mile radius, we should be good to go for the rest of the night.
As Farwell chops this one down the first base line, that's a nice play made by Coach Wiggins.
Saw lightning all around the area during that break, but they said it was outside that 10-mile circle, that we should be good to go for at least a while.
Well, we are in the bottom of the seventh. Zap leading 6-3. And the way that this game has been going, Zap are happy to get back out onto the diamond. Of course, they're hitting now. That's off the end of the bat by Farwell. Count will stay 0-2. We still see lightning strikes off in the distance, but it's somewhat clear. I mean, there's clouds overhead, but there's sunlight shining.
Yeah, and it's felt like we've been flirting with rain all night long, and it just hasn't formulated yet.
Here's the 0-2 to Farwell. That one's ripped up the middle. That's going to get down for a base hit. Trying to sneak into the gap. Farwell going to leg out and try for two. Throw coming in. He's going to be in there standing. And not even a lightning delay could cool down Ty Farwell. He stays hot. Nobody out. Runner on second for the Zap.
Good start back for the Oahe Zap there. And, I mean, they are the Lightning, so they're in a strike here.
Friendly firing there from the Zap with lightning striking out in that left center distance over the rolling hills. That'll bring up Alex Jackson. Jackson's hit a couple hard. He's got a chance to add some insurance here for the Zap. He squares to bunt. That one misses high for ball one.
And it's going to be interesting to see how those pitchers stayed warm. Mike Ledoux had a hoodie over both of his arms. He's warming up again in the bullpen right now.
Still Braden Cork on the mound here for the Sodbusters. 1-0 to Jackson, swung on and missed in the dirt. Another good stop there by Johnston to keep that one at bay, keep Farwell at second. I'll be honest with you, and this isn't to say that we won't be, but I thought we might be here until 10 p.m. before we started this game back up. Comes the 1-1 from Cork to Jackson. That's off the plate, ball two.
Yeah, and I hadn't envisioned this game probably resuming for a long time. I saw a lot of lightning off in the distance, and I was like, there's no way that timer hasn't reset, but it didn't reset a single time while we were on break.
I think that might be the timer in Richard Gilmore's head. That's what we're going off of. Zachary Jackson, the brother of Alex, filming this at bat. As that one swung on and missed for strike two, count even at 2-2. Zachary Jackson got to throw out the first pitch to his brother. And now he's got the phone out filming, hoping to catch another great moment as the 2-2 is fouled back into the netting. The South Dakota weather is something else. I imagine it's probably a downpour at the Walmart, but not a drop here at Hyde Stadium. And for those that don't know, that Walmart's about a stone's throw from Hyde Stadium. That one misses high for ball three. Count worked full.
We're just looking at the strike map. I mean, it was all over the place. Out by the Lake Sharp area. Just a lot of strikes over there.
See if Jackson can come up with a strike on a 3-2 pitch. Payoff, up and in, ball four, and Jackson has drawn a walk. So things are in motion here for the Zap. Ty Farwell led with a leadoff double, and now Jackson follows that up with a walk, and it'll bring up Quinn Ludvigson to the plate.
I'm sure the Zap would love to just go out there and get a bunch of runs, run rule this, and go home so they don't have to worry about the Lightning the rest of the night.
Well, I think that might take longer than the 6 outs that the Sodbusters have to play with.
Yeah, for sure.
But they would love a run rule here. That would certainly build the confidence. Not like they need much more confidence. They've been playing with the utmost confidence these past couple of weeks. It's been a different Zap team than we've seen to start the season, and I think Dylan can attest to this. He's around it every single day. I think a lot of that has to do with the camaraderie in that Zap dugout. Runners on first and second, nobody out for Ludvigsen. Pitch in the dirt for ball one. The Sodbuster defense playing like there is going to be a bunt from Ludvigsen here wouldn't be the worst idea. But Ludvigsen, not really a bunt candidate. He swings with power.
Yeah. I saw about the most elaborate sign I think I've ever seen from Johnston to Cork on the mound. He stepped over the plate and was giving them all these hand signs. So I don't know if that means bunt defense or what.
Yeah, usually those signs are not only for the pitcher but for the infield as well. That pitch will miss low. It's another ball to Ludvigsen.
Yeah, it's certainly no task to go 30 minutes and your whole body cool off while you're in that dugout as a pitcher.
Yeah, I'm a little bit shocked that Cork is back out on the mound. I mean, it wasn't that long of a break, but usually you'll see pitchers changed for much less. Here's the 2-0 pitch. That one finds its way into the zone for strike one.
Yeah, that's the thing. It didn't feel like that long of a break, but for a pitcher, 30 minutes of just sitting there, no movement. I mean, there's only minimal stretches you can really do in a dugout to stay loose, and that's just about an eternity in pitching time.
2-1 to Ludvigsen, make it 2-2. Another good pitch. Ludvigsen not offering. He takes a deep breath as the Zap would love some more insurance to help out their bullpen for the top of the eighth. They're going to try a pickoff play to Farwell on second. He's back sliding safely. Christian Loera was there to receive the throw. I think Loera might have thought that they could have him with a bit of a sneakier throw, but Farwell always heads up out there.
That was a pretty lofty throw from Cork to the shortstop.
I think that might be why Loera spiked the ball back down into his glove. Ludvigsen with a 2-2 pitch goes down swinging at a fastball up in the zone. So he'll head back to the dugout. Gavin Frazier will come up here.
Impressive comeback there. Was behind in the count 2-0, but Cork going 3 straight strikes to retire the runner.
So now some more signs being flashed around the infield. Feels like the Zap do have the momentum here. You really don't want to give that back. And momentum can be found in many different ways. Here's the first pitch to Frazier in the dirt for ball one. And one of those ways could be getting into a no-out jam, put runners on first and second, and then getting out of it with no damage done. See if the Zap can squander that possibility with a base hit right here from Gavin Frazier. Here's the 1-0. That one lifted high back our direction, coming to one lone fan, and it takes a bounce towards the concession stand. Dylan Beach had the window fly it open in hopes that that one might bounce up into the broadcast booth. We are still waiting for that first foul ball to come our direction.
It was trending towards us, man. I thought that one was maybe going to skip, but it ended up skipping back the other way.
Well, some wind might have pushed it back towards the seats as well. There's a lot of it here this afternoon. 1-1 to Frazier. That one catches the outside corner for strike two. And a very kind fan who caught that foul ball didn't use it for herself. She actually took that over to Zachary Jackson. Give him a souvenir to remember this very memorable day with his brother. Here's the 1-2 to Frazier, off the plate, ball two.
And Ty Farwell running around as that pitch was thrown, certainly in the head of the pitcher there.
You know, it wouldn't put it past Ty Farwell to almost steal third there. It looked like he had that in mind, but then stuck his foot in the ground once Cork took a peek back at Farwell. As Frazier on the 2-2 pitch goes down swinging. So Braden Cork with 2 good strikeouts after allowing a leadoff double to Ty Farwell and a walk to Alex Jackson. And now it'll be up to Mason Lang to try to add this much-needed insurance.
And talk about some resiliency from Cork. I mean, had the 2 runners on with nobody away and has battled back resiliently.
Well, for all the fans listening or watching on the Oahe Zap YouTube, you can't hear us right now on River 92.7. We've got an emergency weather alert playing across the station. There's a lot going on this broadcast. First pitch to Lang is rifled down the first base line, but just curls foul. Man, that one stayed fair. Might have plated 2 for the Zap. Both runners running on contact with 2 outs.
It was just a little out in front of that one, and that's one that I'm sure Lang would love to have back. Just sit back a little further on it.
Oh, and 1 count here to Mason Lang, as he takes ball 1 outside.
This would be a huge win for the Zap if this one stands. We talked about how important it is for the playoffs, but just for momentum, getting this win over Hastings when you haven't beat them all season.
Feels like it would get the monkey off the back. Zap have been the hottest team in the ILB. But when you play a team you haven't beaten yet, things certainly change. That one way up and outside to Mason Lang, ball 2.
You play Hastings, a team who has had your number this season. You play Casper this week, who has had your number historically in the rivalry. It'd be big for some momentum if you could take some of those series and push towards the second half championship.
2-1 count to Mason Lang with runners on first and second and 2 outs. He fouls that one off for the second strike. So now we've got a 2-2 count with 2 outs, 2 runners on, and the 2 position at the plate.
Yeah, talk about some good camaraderie. Colton of the Pier Wildcats throwing that foul ball to a lucky fan.
Good for Colton. One of the nicer Pier Wildcats. They're all nice. They're all great to hang out with. Glad to see him at the ballpark. This one fouled off through the legs of Mason Lang. Somehow stayed alive on that off-speed pitch.
Yeah, I don't know how the bat touched that one. It was very light contact at all.
When I was making my way back into the broadcast booth, I kept asking a couple people walking by, all right, so we're back on? And they said for now, so I guess there might be some more weather coming in behind this tonight.
Certainly looks like it in the sky.
Certainly looks like we shouldn't be playing right now in the sky, but here we are. The 2-2 pitch, swung on and missed, and Braden Cork with 3 straight strikeouts get out of a huge jam. We head to the top of the 8th. Zap still leading 6-3, trying to get a big win here at Hyde Stadium.
Looking for happenings in Central South Dakota? The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce Community Calendar is your go-to for all the latest events. From entertainment to local benefits, community activities, and more, there's something for everyone. Email your event to contactchamber@pierre.org and it will be listed on the weekly calendar. To view the calendar, go to www.pierre.org. Let's celebrate together in the heart of South Dakota. The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce, connecting our community one event at a time.
Doing a little spring cleaning at your house? I'm Val Keller, City of Pierre Solid Waste Manager, letting you know the City Supply Swap program can help. We'll recycle cleaning supplies, paint, and other household chemicals you don't want anymore. Plus, you're free to take any products other people dropped off for recycling. The swap program helps our customers and keeps things out of our landfill. Supplies we accept include stains and sealers, pesticides, pool chemicals, typical cleaning agents, as well as oil-based paint, latex paint, and spray paint. For additional information, call 605-773-7434. Again, that's 773-7434 for more information about recycling your household supplies and paint. Let the City of Pierre help you get your home and garage cleared out and cleaned up for the summer months.
This public service message is brought to you by the radio stations of the DRG Media Group in Pierre.
It's dark skies for tonight's YMCA action at Hyde Stadium. I didn't know if we were ever going to reach the 8th inning tonight, Justin, but whatever fans that are left joining in on the YMCA, Always a spectacle here at Hyde Stadium.
Well, a lot of those fans, they didn't think we were going to reach this part of the ballgame either. They made their way home. It looked absolutely devastating off in the distance, but as it often does when it gets to this pier area, kind of curls around us.
Yeah, the stands have mostly cleared out after that long rain delay.
It was a good crowd for a Wednesday night game, especially with incoming weather that everybody knew about.
Gladue comes set, misses off the plate for his first offering, and his resumed outing was out there what seems like an eternity ago for the top of the 7th. She moved very efficiently, firing that one in, just missing for ball 2. Feels like one Gladue would love to have go his way. Just so close on the corner of the zone. That one missing low for ball 3.
Another guy I'm surprised to see back out, Wyatt Gladue. He had to wait even longer than Braden Court did, obviously, because he had to wait through the bottom of the 7th, which was no short outing.
3-0 put into play. Pugrad fielding, firing across the diamond in time to Ludvigsen for the first out.
A little bit surprised to see the green light there, Dylan?
Yeah, I was shocked a little bit. It was grounded sharply to Pugrad, but a good ball to just put it over the plate, test your defense out, and he trusts his defense, and Pugrad delivers for the first out of the inning. We don't see that green light too often on 3-0 counts.
Not for either team, whether it be the Zap or their opponents. But Zap were happy to see it there.
Yo-O from Gladue, one away, that one in there for strike 1. And at least positive signs. It feels like we're having a little bit of sun crack through these clouds. Capitol Pond is kind of chilled out a little bit from the rapids it had earlier. 0-1 from Gladue, misses for ball 1.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot, but the craziness of South Dakota weather on full display here. With about a Category 3 hurricane-looking weather out in front.
1-1 swung foul.
And a beach day right behind us.
Yeah, it has been. I thought Indiana weather was weird on how fast it could change, but South Dakota might be on a different level because it'll truly just come out of nowhere. I mean, this one was a planned storm that people were dreading all day. As that one swung on a miss, strike 3 for Gladue. Gets out 2 swinging, and the Zap getting 4 outs away from their 17th win of the year in one game off of 500.
And we don't want to speak too soon, obviously, because there's still a decent bit of baseball left to be played here, and these Sodbusters can kind of flip the switch immediately, but just a different level of confidence this team is playing with right now than the last time we saw Hastings here.
As Beer Batter went down, Gladue firing a first pitch ball. And a fun tidbit about it, if the Zap, as it right now, the current season record sits at 16-18. If they can win the next 2 games and get back to 500, it would be the latest in a season the Zap were 500. That one on the plate for strike 1. The previous record was 1-1. That was the previous furthest into the season the Zap had been 500. So a big building block season for the Oahe Zap, to say the least. They are in the heart of a playoff push. The 1-1 from Gladue missing for ball 2.
And I love to hear the dugout, too. We hear the catcher try to pump up the pitcher. Hey, good pitch there. We heard it from the entire Zap dugout on that near miss from Gladue.
2-1, checked into play. Kind of a stay-alive swing. Ludvigsen going to have to race to the bag, and he's not going to get there in time. A weird play. No one was covering first. Ludvigsen had to field it, and
well, no one was covering first because Quinn Ludvigsen was 6 steps away from the bag. I can't for the life of me figure out why he didn't just turn and sprint to first base and take that out himself.
I think he was.
He looked to see Gladue trying to cover, but I don't even think Gladue was going to have enough time to get there.
That feels like one Ludvigsen has to take to the bag. So now we're running on with 2 away when the Zap should be heading back up to hit. As that one in there for strike 1. We'll see if that one comes back to hurt him like Brady Glenn's outing earlier. Had a close strike call go in as a ball, which gave a run to the Sodbusters on a broken bat single. See if the Zap can get that out of their head and move on. Gladue, the 0-1, sets, fires, fouled off for strike 2.
Yeah, that'd be great for Gladue's confidence to just wipe that clean. It's one of those in-betweeners. We actually saw it in the World Series with Garrett Cole when he didn't cover. It wasn't that Gladue wasn't covering, but I think he kind of thought what we thought, that Ludvigsen was just going to take that one himself, but would love to see him come back at the strikeout right here.
2 away. Runner on first in the 0-2 from Gladue. Just missing. I don't know how that one didn't clip the plate. The Zap dugout wanted that one.
Well, they're getting upset because they're seeing some of those pitches get called strikes when they're in the batter's box. And they just want to see it consistently called both ways.
Ball 1 for Gladue. Hannaford at the plate, swings that one foul just to the left of our broadcast booth. We're going to get one of these days, Justin. Still 12 home games.
Even if we have to ask the Zap to come out after the season and play a couple exhibition games, we might have to start calling some post-8 games, but we will get one.
We're just going to have them foul them over the netting until we catch one. The 1-2, that one swung foul. Staying alive here, Hannaford. Running that bat that I'm sure the Zap would have loved to have never happened.
Well, in weeks past and early on in the season when the Zap were still getting their footing, this felt like one of those games where you would have one of those weird plays happen and then the wheels would fall off.
Thinking the exact same thing as Gladue tries to pick off at first.
But now the Zap feel like they're playing in a certain situation where the throw goes over Gladue's head and almost allows the runner to get to second. But feels like the Zap are playing with a confidence right now where they can just shake that kind of thing off. You know, we're kind of, you know, we've got those memories, those scarring memories.
1-2 from Gladue, just missing off the plate for ball 2.
We're a little bit scarred by some of those moments.
Yeah, feels like a much more mentally tough Oahe Zap than even maybe 3-4 weeks ago. Feels like they have rode out the storms, just kept trusting the process. 2-2 from Wyatt Gladue. Runs inside, the runner goes. Lang trying to fire to second, not in time. Gavin Frazier tried to put on the tag. So the count runs full at 3-2. Now a runner in scoring position, 2 away for the Sodbusters.
Yeah, kind of the rule of thumb with middle infielders covering the bag is if it's a right-handed hitter, then the second baseman will cover. And if it's a left-handed hitter, then the shortstop will cover. I think if Pugrad was covering there and coming into that throw, he might have had a better opportunity to make that tag.
3-2 payoff. Swung foul right towards Coach. Doing a decent job getting out of the way of that one.
Going back to that throw down to second, it looked like he kind of pulled Frazier across the bag and he lost his balance a little bit. You know, obviously nothing you can do about that if you're Pugrad because you know who's covering the bag.
You don't want to have a collision out there.
No.
Second payoff pitch for Gladue. Sets, fires that one in the dirt for ball 4.
So now we'll see. This is a huge moment for the Zap to kind of figure out who they are as a team. We just mentioned it as Devin Skelton makes his way out to talk with Wyatt Gladue, and Jamie Habiger gives the speed up signal to the bullpen. But you know, weeks ago, this was, you put the Zap in this situation, you felt like this would become a huge inning for the Hastings Sodbusters. Now you feel like the Zap are in a position where it shouldn't become a huge inning for the Hastings Sodbusters. It should be where you get a ground ball here, you get a pop fly, you get a strikeout, something to get yourself out of the inning. And if the Zap want to be a playoff team, they have to get out of this inning unscathed. They've got to get to the top of the 9th with at least a 3-run lead.
Zap trying to fight off ghosts of Christmas past as they try to keep this deficit where it's at. They lead 6-3 over the Hastings Sodbusters. 2 away, runners on first and second. Wyatt Gladue taking some deep breaths out on the mound. Visit from Coach Skelton. Some action in the bullpen. It's a lefty. With these white uniforms, that's probably about as much as we can tell you. the hardest numbers to pick out of any Zap combo this year. The 0-0 from Gladue missing low for ball 1.
Defense has been great all night. See if Wyatt can get a ground ball and get himself out of this inning.
Force out at every base. 1-0 offering. Swung, driven towards left. Jackson giving chase. Sizing it up, settling under it, and making the play. Zap battle some adversity with 2 away, but remain unscathed. We'll be right back here for the bottom of the 8th. The Oahe Zap leads 6-3.
Hey, it's your phone talking. Yeah, your phone. You know, that thing you're constantly picking up and poking around. Listen, when you're behind the wheel, would you please give me a break? You'll have plenty of time for your TikToks and, I don't know, texting your friends after you put it in park. Distracted driving, friend, no joke. One quick text or social media feed can cause a crash, and hey, I don't want any part of that. You got someplace to be, and trust me, I'll enjoy the downtime. Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety and its station.
Dunes Golf is celebrating their 30th anniversary this summer. They look forward to seeing old friends and new acquaintances on the driving range and on the course throughout the summer. Play 9 or 18 holes. Pay by the round. Save with a punch card or become a member for unlimited play. Dunes Golf is a great location for group outings or a summer play day. Call 605-223-2525 or see golfdunes.com. Just 1 mile north of Fort Pierre on Highway 1806. Dunes Golf.
Thinking of travel? Pierre Regional Airport offers nonstop flights from Pierre to Denver. From there, you can fly anywhere. Book to your destination and check bags through on United, Delta, or American Airlines. 1-hour flights on 50-passenger jets to Denver, then connecting to your destination. Save travel time and money, avoid the crowds, and free parking when you fly from Pierre Regional Airport. Skip the drive. Fly from Pierre Regional Airport.
Looking for happenings in Central South Dakota? The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce Community Calendar is your go-to for all the latest events. From entertainment to local benefits, community activities, and more, there's something for everyone. Email your event to contactchamber@pierre.org and it will be listed on the weekly calendar. To view the calendar, go to www.pierre.org. Let's celebrate together in the heart of South Dakota. The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce, connecting our community one event at a time.
9-1-2 due up for the Oahe Zap. It's Nate Fisher on the mound. He comes set. That one, a Baltimore chop from Curiel. Charging is Loera, firing over to first in time to retire Curiel on the first pitch of the bottom of the 8th.
Well, that was pretty efficient for Nate Fisher coming out of the bullpen. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a hard play, and it definitely was from Loera. Had to charge towards his left on a very high chop from Emiliano Curiel.
We've seen a lot of great play out of both middle infields today.
Fisher squats and comes set. That one, a first pitch strike. As Jared Pugrad, lineup turns over. Fisher, that iconic squat. Now he's set. The sidewinder deals inside for ball 1.
We've seen a lot of unique deliveries at this ballpark throughout the season. This one, way miles ahead.
Yeah, that is unique. I think the most unique windup I've probably seen in just a long time. That one in there for ball 2. I'm not sure if there's a major leaguer with a more unique windup than that.
I mean, maybe Pablo Torres in New York, but he just kind of changes it up like every other pitch.
2-1 in there, runs 2-2. Jared Pugrad awaiting the 2-2 offering. 1 away, the Zap leads 6-3 here on a spooky looking night at the ballpark. That one swung out in front. A wicked offering there from Fisher.
Yeah, and I don't blame Jared Pugrad because it's got to be tough for these Zap hitters to tell what's going to be a strike and what's going to be a ball. I mean, they see one thing when they're out in the field and then another thing in the plate. So credit Pugrad for trying to defend the plate. It's kind of it's just become a guessing game at this point.
Yeah, it's got to be a pitcher that's hard to guess on what's going to come out of his hand with that unique windup and the sidewinder throw is.
And then that one came in over the top.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
I was saying sidewinder.
Nick Golden with a long look out to the pitcher and shaking his head, yeah, because that's the first non-sidewinder pitch we've seen, and it was a fastball, and it was headed right for Nick Golden.
I'd maybe call time and go throw on a suit of armor.
Well, Nick Golden putting the bat over the middle of the plate, saying, you can throw it right here over the middle of the plate, as he misses there for ball 2.
That one missing. Once again, it is turned into a weird sunset here at Hyde Stadium. Is that one off the plate for ball 3? Still lightning striking off. It's got to be 10 miles away because we're still playing baseball. As Golden ahead in the count 3-0. Fisher comes set and delivers. That one running inside for ball 4. Nick Golden a triumphant bat toss as he trots over to first, bringing way for Vince Polizzi.
Well, the back toss, I think, was justified. He's been hit a couple times this season, once or twice.
Only a couple.
And there on that first pitch from Fisher, it was the only time we've seen him throw overhand. Looked like he was really trying to put some heat behind it. And it ran inside, got close to hitting him again, and Golden didn't like it.
2 away for Vince Polizzi. So he watches that one in for ball 1. Chance to add some insurance before we'll see the bullpen open up for tonight's closer. We're still trying to get who that is. 1-0 in there for strike 1 to Polizzi. So pretty skies off ahead.
It is pretty, but it's also kind of scary at the same
eerie.
time. It's very eerie.
1-1 to Polizzi, driven towards right. If we had the win from earlier, that one might have got through, but that one going to get down in right field. Golden chugging around third, trying to head to the plate. Polizzi will stop at second. Golden will score, and he loves it. Zap get an extra insurance run on a ball that magically dropped in right field.
Yeah, that was a tough play for Jackson Crane to make. He was shaded very far towards center field because Polizzi, a power right-handed hitter, and Polizzi just kind of dropping it into no man's land.
I think that might even be a new right fielder, which also maybe could explain it. I think it's Joey Hecker now, and if he hadn't played during that 30-minute delay and that's the first action, he was going to have to dust off the wheels to get on his horse for that one.
Quite a test for your first play.
Farwell lining that one sharply off foul into Capitol Ave. The pond just perfectly serene over there. We had just about waves forming in it. It's not a very big pond. As Farwell now behind in the count 0-1. Zap leads 7-3. As Farwell awaits that offering into the leg. That one hurt.
Yeah, you can tell. I can't tell if Farwell's smiling or grimacing because he's always wearing that smile.
It's probably both.
But how about the hit from Vince Polizzi and Golden putting on the wheels and chugging around for a huge insurance run?
There's some runners on this team that are fast, and maybe some guys you would rather have steal a base over Nick Golden, but I think if I would have a guy wanting to run from first to home, I think it'd be Nick Golden every day of the week.
He's not a sprinter. He's a distance runner is what you're saying.
He runs about as aggressively as they come, and he will not stop for anything. But he is just rapid out on the base paths. Plays with so much emotion as Jackson lines that one sharply into Coach Skelton. He wears it, saves the bat boy there.
That's why the bat boys wear a helmet.
We saw Coach Skelton make a barehanded catch earlier. He tried to do the same, but I think he wore it into the hand. He's consoling the bat boy. I'm hoping he didn't get hit.
I think that bat boy's down there telling me, come on, man, I'm just fine.
That one misses high for ball 1. Alex Jackson might give him those batting gloves after the game. But Coach Skelton there guarding him. I don't think there's someone I'd want on the team guarding me if I was the bat boy other than Coach Skelton after that play made earlier. The 1-1 to Jackson misses low for ball 2.
Maybe Nick Golden because he's just a ball magnet.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you'd want to have him next to you because one gets past him.
Well, no, nothing gets past him. They all hit him.
Nick Golden has a magnet in his body that just attracts baseballs. 2-1 to Jackson. chopped sharply to the second baseman, firing over in time. The Zap get an insurance run. They lead 7-3 heading to the top of the ninth. The chance to win their 17th ball game of the year. We'll be right back here on River 92.7.
The summer is here, and you know what that means. The Oahe Zap are back, and we at DRG Media Group are bringing you coverage of every Zap home game all summer long. You can hear all the home Zap games on River 92.7, or you can watch them live on drgnews.com at the River 92.7 station page. The Zap are offering you fans something new every single night. So get out to Hyde Stadium for some Zap baseball this summer. Purchase your tickets on oahezap.com or buy them at the box office. If you can't make it to the game, we've got you covered on River 92.7 Oahe Zap Baseball, brought to you by DRG Media Group.
Maybe the biggest final 3 outs of the season coming for the Oahe Zap, as we have got a new pitcher on the mound. Dylan, did you ever finally get a number?
Yeah, 44, Connor Hammonds.
Love to see it. Connor Hammonds takes the bump to try to close this thing down. Wouldn't be a save, but it'll definitely fall into the honorary save book of Dylan Beach.
Oh, yeah.
If you could get these final 3 outs for the Oahe Zap, as each one of these home games, the next 7 games, which we're about to wrap up game 1 of that 7 over the next 6 days, are crucial for the Zap's playoff push. Big thanks to Eli Lewis for taking us through the path to the playoff presented by Dunes Golf. Country club quality at public course prices. Go have a day at the Dunes, as the Zap are 3 outs away from getting a huge first win of this long stretch. They'll be back here for 2 tomorrow afternoon for the doubleheader against the Sodbusters. Game 1 will get underway at 1 p.m. and play about an hour after Game 1 wraps up with game number 2. Dylan, what are you going to do with your time off in between games?
I'll probably be working in that time off. Maybe
head over
enjoy
to the
some
Dunes
lunch.
Might head over to the Dunes and hit a bucket of balls.
That'd be a good idea. Connor Hammonds has looked so impressive at the plate at times this year, but I'm really impressed with the confidence he shows on the mound as a two-way guy. You don't see that kind of confidence. You either see it at one or the other, but he's really confident at both the plate and the mound.
And he'll need that confidence as he faces 1, 2, 3 in this lineup. And he fires a first pitch fastball that'll miss high for ball 1.
This is probably the highest leverage situation he's been in, even with a 4-run lead.
That one misses high for ball 2. Don't want to walk the leadoff runner. But Connor Hammonds never gets too low, but never gets too high. Here's the 2-0. That one runs down and in for ball 3. Hammonds, even when he walked off for the Zap a couple weeks ago, really didn't celebrate. It was a sac fly. He was probably upset that it was an out. As a 3-0, make it 3-1. That fastball had some intent behind it, right down Broadway. Or right down Capitol Ave, as I should say.
A good comeback pitch there from Hammonds.
3-1, and he walked him. Fastball misses outside for ball 4. So Loera will take his base. Zap scored 2 in the third, 4 in the fourth, answering 1 run in the top of the 4th from the Sodbusters. Sodbusters came back with 2 in the top of the 6th inning. And the Zap got a huge insurance run after Vince Palizzi dropped one into right field and Nick Golden scored from first base. Hammonds misses inside for ball 1 to Brady Alexander. And as of right now, this is Hammond's inning. Nobody up and working in the bullpen. That one, I don't know, ball 2. That looked really good. That was, I guess, outside. Hammonds comes set. The 2-0 pitch. In there for strike 1. Good fastball in the inside corner. So the spooky clouds have now turned back to dark clouds.
Yeah, they're not purple and red anymore.
Not purple and red. Also the sun having a little bit to do with that, as that's peaked behind. A big swing and a miss from Brady Alexander makes it 2-2.
I think this is the most lights have been used here at Hyde Stadium in weeks.
There's a couple games they weren't even on. We had to flag down Alex Sheets, as it was getting a little bit shady here at Hyde Stadium. The 2-2 pitch is swung on, fouled, and just barely creeps out of the mitt of Mason Lang.
Close to getting the first out there on the foul tip into the glove.
Hammonds is just peppering fastballs. Sodbusters haven't been able to catch up with one yet. As he starts to slowly find the zone, the 2-2 pitch, off speed, ball 3. Whole Zap dugout wanting to know where that one missed.
On a pitch that's breaking towards the batter, that one feels like it had to have crossed the plate.
Here's the 3-2. Another one fouled off.
So a big payoff pitch here for Hammonds. Got to find a way to get an out and set up that double play to end the game.
It sure is. 1 out with 1 on is a whole lot different than 2 on with nobody out. Hammonds comes set. The payoff pitch, fastball missed low in the dirt. So not the way you wanted to start the top of the 9th. With a 4-run lead, Zap are sitting pretty. But Connor Hammonds with 2 leadoff walks has runners on first and second with nobody out. But again, this is where that mentality that Connor Hammonds has comes in, where he never really lets anything affect him. He doesn't get too shaken, too rattled. Devin Skelton will head out to have a chat with his closer and his entire infield.
Yeah, this is one where you need to take a breath, maybe reevaluate how you're kind of pitching here. You're trying to pepper the zone. You're maybe not getting as big of a zone or as consistent of a zone as you would like. Maybe put some of them over the plate, try to trust your defense, throw those early strikes and see if they can help you out. They've been outstanding tonight, and it felt like when the Zap have needed an out, when they've just put one over the plate that's maybe more hittable than their best stuff, they're getting those outs.
And that's where that one insurance run comes in so huge that the Zap brought across in the bottom of the 8th, because without it, the tying run is at the plate here in the form of Cale Jensen. But like you said, maybe you have a little bit more freedom to try to put one over the plate and let it get put in play. If it leaves the ballpark, so be it. You're still in the lead.
You just can't let this snowball into another couple of walks. Lead these bases open.
Hammond's first pitch to Jensen is in there for strike 1. Good off-speed pitch. Devin Skelton with a good talk to Connor Hammonds. He comes set with the 0-1. That one lifted towards left field. Underneath it is Jackson looking high into the dark skies, and there's out number 1. So he must have heard you, Dillon. He put it over the plate. It got skied out to left field, and a huge first out here in the top of the 9th.
Yeah, and every pitcher wants to be a strikeout guy, a swing and miss guy, but sometimes you got to put some faith in your defense, and what the Zap's been showing you all season long is a good defensive core. When the bats weren't coming alive, the defense is what they were really hanging their hats on, and it's been a good defensive unit. Trust them.
So Weston Johnston will come up and take strike 1. And if there's anybody that kind of resembles the I don't care about strikeouts, I just care about winning, it's Connor Hammonds. I think he could care less about his stats. He only cares about one thing, and that's putting this game in the win column. Here's the 0-1. That one just barely outside for ball 2.
This fastball's looking good for Hammonds, though.
Really coming out of his hand nicely, isn't it?
If he can get ahead in these counts, that is going to be a weapon for him against these batters.
Count is 1-1 here to Johnston. And another late time offered by Chris Dozark. Another timeout offer. We saw it with Wyatt Gladue and now Connor Hammonds, where the pitcher started his delivery and the batter got afforded a timeout. I mean, you
can't
never
give that.
see that. You never see that.
I mean, that's in his windup.
Hammonds quickly back. And it's ball 2. And now Dozark is hearing it from just about everybody except that Sodbuster dugout. Here's the 2-1. That one off the middle of the bat. This could be 2. Pugrad, 2-1 on the way. Ball game over. Jared Pugrad showing off the weather, and no umpire could have changed the outcome of that one. Zap win a huge game 1 of this series, 7-3. They battled a lightning delay. They battled some other opposition, but they get the win, and Jared Pugrad does it himself. A ground ball up the middle. It kind of bounced off his glove into the chest, but a great job of staying with it of Jared Pugrad. dragged his right toe across second base, fired it to Ludvigsen at first, and the Zap walk away victorious. We'll recap all of it for you in the post-game show. Zapper winners here at Hyde Stadium in Game 1 of this 3-game series. We'll be right back with the post-game show after this break on River 92.7.
Hey, it's your phone talking. Yeah, your phone. You know, that thing you're constantly picking up and poking around. Listen, when you're behind the wheel, would you please give me a break? You'll have plenty of time for your TikToks and, I don't know, texting your friends after you put it in park. Distracted driving, friend. No joke. One quick text or social media feed can cause a crash. And hey, I don't want any part of that. You got someplace to be. And trust me, I'll enjoy the downtime. Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety and its station.
Dunes Golf is celebrating their 30th anniversary this summer. They look forward to seeing old friends and new acquaintances on the driving range and on the course throughout the summer. Play 9 or 18 holes. Pay by the round. Save with a punch card or become a member for unlimited play. Dunes Golf is a great location for group outings or a summer play day. Call 605-223-2525 or see golfdunes.com. Just 1 mile north of Fort Pierre on Highway 1806. Dunes Golf.
Thinking of travel? Pierre Regional Airport offers nonstop flights from Pierre to Denver. From there, you can fly anywhere. Book to your destination and check bags through on United, Delta, or American Airlines. 1-hour flights on 50-passenger jets to Denver, then connecting to your destination. Save travel time and money, avoid the crowds, and free parking when you fly from Pierre Regional Airport. Skip the drive. Fly from Pierre Regional Airport.
Looking for happenings in Central South Dakota? The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce Community Calendar is your go-to for all the latest events. From entertainment to local benefits, community activities, and more, there's something for everyone. Email your event to contactchamber@pierre.org and it will be listed on the weekly calendar. To view the calendar, go to www.pierre.org. Let's celebrate together in the heart of South Dakota. The Pierre Area Chamber of Commerce, connecting our community one event at a time.
How about those Oahe Zap? First place Zap get another huge win. And I had to stop Dylan from getting all of his thoughts out in the break because that is such a big win for the Zap. Dylan, you believe that might be the biggest win of the season.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can kind of put into words how big that one means to the Zap, but I'll try. I mean, that is a battle-back win, and where you had your big inning, you put up 4 in the bottom of the 4th, and you had those innings where you thought it was maybe going to unravel. You gave up 2. They got come back into it a little closer. Polizzi gets that big insurance run, and it felt like you were battling a lot of stuff. You had the lightning delay. You maybe had some calls that you don't disagree with at the plate, and you battled back through all of that. That is a massive win for the Oahe Zap.
So the Zap move another game forward. They add another game to their all-time win total. And they win this one 7-3. Quick recap scoring-wise before they shut the scoreboard off for the night. Zap got 2 in the 3rd. The Sodbusters answered with 1 in the 4th. Zap came right back, got off the mat, something we haven't seen in the month of June but have seen in the month of July. They scored 4 in the bottom of the 4th to answer that run. The Sodbusters got 2 in the top of the 6th in a huge jam that we saw. Bases loaded and got a big double play, fired to home plate for 1, fired down to first for the 2nd out. They would score those 2 runs after that double play. However, it could have been so much bigger, something we had seen all season long. As Dylan mentioned, the Zap got that huge insurance run, which they didn't end up needing in the bottom of the 8th inning, but it is great to know that they can get that insurance when they need. And Connor Hammonds comes out in the top of the 9th, walks the first 2 batters, gets a big out, and then Jared Pugrad makes another great play at shortstop, gets the game-ending double play, and the Zap are victorious.
Yeah, and another thing going back to that playoff push and how big this win was, Casper's up 9-0 in their ball game right now, so you fend them off in another game too, and they're coming to your place in a couple of days. If you can win this series and Fremont steal a couple, you'll be sitting pretty good.
So we'll be back with 2 more games tomorrow. We've got a Thursday doubleheader here at Hyde Stadium for you tomorrow afternoon. And we hope that the weather stays clear. It stayed clear for the most part, about a 20-minute, 30-minute lightning delay, but we got back and playing in action. First game will be at 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. We'll have the coverage right here on River 92.7 and also streaming on the Oahe Zap YouTube, which you can find on drgnews.com at the River 92.7 station page. And we believe second game will come about an hour after the first game wraps up. Normally, I'd say goodnight, but Dylan, I want to get your final thoughts on this huge win.
Yeah, that is just about as big as they come. It feels like every game in the next 7 are about as must-win as they get. You're off to a good start. You have some momentum in your back pocket. Go take at least another game, win this series, and try to move on to that big Casper series.
Well, Zap will try to get the 3-game sweep tomorrow with the doubleheader. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Coverage will begin at 12:50 right here on River 92.7. For our producer, director, and now playoff path extraordinaire, Eli Lewis. For my partner for the season, Dylan Beach, I'm Justin Cowart saying so long, good night. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon at 12:50. Zap win it 7-3. Have a great Wednesday night, everybody.
This broadcast of Oahe Zap Baseball was brought to you by DRG Media Group and its sponsors. The next home Zap game will be broadcast right here on River 92.7 and drgnews.com. Thanks for tuning in.